I see dudes going by condos and lofts just like this. Going to grab that new X5 off the lot, that Marrow, that Hellcat, and they can't do nothing else. You know why? Because people jump out once they get money, especially in the black and brown community. We go buy what we want, not what we need. We don't think about the future, we think about the now. I want to flex. But then now, you're stuck. You have to work to pay for this. You are stuck.
These are the type of conversations I should have been having, thought-provoking, real conversations, not lifestyle marketing, not sitting on the stage bragging about the new Ferrari that you bought. The conversation should be these type of conversations and then say, you know what the byproduct of this conversation happens? I took my wife to Jamaica and told her, whatever you want, baby, spend a bag on it. Because of these conversations and the efforts that I put into it, look what I got because of that.
That's why I created this show. I'm watching these people. I'm watching everybody teach. I'm sitting behind, I'm teaching and I'm doing it the right way. Telling you how to get into the stock market, telling you the good, bad, and the ugly. And I'm watching my community being taught and we still have like not enough progress. So I'm like, I don't think these questions are being asked and answered. What's going on? It's your boy Aristotle Investments. We back with another episode of Kicking It with the OGs. Now, this one is special because I brought on a co-host, my brother, Justin Lee, all right? And then we have Welby, the OG of this episode, all right? So, Welby specializes in real estate, and my boy Jay Lee specializes in real estate. The reason I brought him on the show is because I definitely needed some help with these questions because I'm ignorant to the game. So I'm gonna start with the first question, you know, kind of warming up a little bit. How did you even get into real estate?
I started buying real estate in 2003. This is when the subprime mortgage era was going on. And I bought my first property in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I bought a 4-unit property and I bought it in 2003, 2004, and I bought it for cash flow, right? To generate money. I wanted to be a landlord, right? And I wanted to be a property investor, start investing in properties. And by 2008, I lost it to foreclosure. And, you know, I share with the people my struggles in the business when I first started. I share about the adversities I went through in the business, the good, the bad, the ugly of investing in real estate. And the most important thing is that I want people to understand that you don't have to suffer in the manner that I did to get in the game. Use my mistakes so that you could do better than me, faster than me.
Okay. So I first discovered you from, what's his name in Texas, Dallas, Texas?
A Millionaire Mindset, my brother Xavier, yes.
Yeah, Xavier. So I went on his in Dallas, Texas. I saw you just kicking mad game. He was posting the reels. One reel went viral. And I really, not only did I like your energy, but I also like your passion. And I like that you were giving actual game that I've learned from. I've watched many real estate people. And of course, I'm not going to name drop anything, but I didn't learn a thing. All I saw was influence. I didn't learn, but I learned a lot from you and I want to touch on that right now. So you said something interesting. You made a reel and you were talking about the pros and the cons of the BRRRR method. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I said, and that video went viral too, right? And I said that most people should not be doing the BRRRR method. Most people, most supposed investors should not be doing the BRRRR method. And of course, people got upset with me.
What's the BRRRR method?
The BRRRR method is if essentially you buying properties, regardless if it's a single family home or if it's a multi-family home. So what do you do with the property? It's 5 steps. You buy the property, you rehab the property, you rent out the property, you refinance the property, then you repeat the process over again. I know he's a fellow investor, so he understands, right? Yeah. So that's the BRRRR method. But the reason why I tell people most people should not be doing the BRRRR method is because most of the people, I could talk to the camera?
Yeah.
Most of you people that are doing the BRRRR method are over leveraged. And when I say that you over leverage, it's exciting when you do it with the first property. But the goal of doing the BRRRR method is for you to take the money out of the property, the equity out of the property, so you could then utilize that money to buy more properties, right?
Right.
So now most people that are doing it, they're already over leveraged. They already extracted too much equity out of the property because the way a lot of these influencers are influencing people is to make them believe it's free money. No, you got to pay that money back. right? So now you over leverage yourself with the first property, use that money to go buy the second property to follow the same method. As your portfolio gets larger and larger, it starts to stink. You don't smell it yet at the beginning because you're excited that you got to the closing table, right? It's not until you start growing, and when you grow that to a certain level, then you realize one mistake, everything comes down.
What's your perspective on it?
I mean, he's saying the real. I mean, because in real estate, it's all about doors. Everybody wants to talk about how many doors do you have, and that's like the measuring pole. Oftentimes, that's the measuring pole to people who are ignorant. Doors don't equate to money. You can have 1 million doors and make negative money or no money. What equates to money is the quality of the units and the cash flow. You know what I'm saying? So,
and to see, speaking with him, we met today, right? And remember we was talking previously, and I said, there's a brotherhood. There's a sisterhood in this business. When you're speaking to somebody, and it doesn't take long when you encounter somebody that you could say, oh yeah, that's my brother, that's my sister. They understand what goes on in the game. So when you said what you said, which is powerful about the doors, and people are led with the doors. If people pay attention to my Instagram, I never talk about how many doors I got, because the amount of doors you have is a false representation of the truth. Can I elaborate?
yeah.
What happens is, for example, let's just say I have 100 doors, hypothetically, make it easy. 100 doors, and this brother has 10 doors. To the average person, the assumption is I have to be making more money than him. My net worth has to be higher than his because I have 100 doors, he has 10 doors. It's not true. So that's why I stress with people, it's not about the amount of doors, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of the doors that you have.
Question. Can you please name a scenario, or can you give me an example, hypothetically, how you could have 100, he can have 10 doors, but he's making more than you?
I'll give you a perfect example of real life on the property I own. So I have a friend of mine that was just getting into the business, and we were both buying he had a 12-unit property that he was looking to acquire. I looked at the property, I didn't want to buy it anymore. This is a true story. I didn't want to buy it because I didn't like the numbers on the property, because the net, I only talk net. I know a lot of people like to talk big numbers investing in real estate. It's about what you put in your pocket at the end, right? So when I did the math on that 12-unit property, he was acquiring that property for $1.2 million. The value of the property was $1.3 million. It's simple math. That means the net worth or the appreciation or the equitable position in that property is $100,000. Agree?
Right.
Okay. I've been in the game long enough, and I'm in the area that I'm in. I had an opportunity to buy a 6-family, the one I showed you.
Yeah.
The 6-family property was worth, at the time, it was worth just about $550,000, $600,000 with 6 units. I was able to negotiate the property for $270,000. So on a $270,000 property, the equitable position was $300,000. So on a $1.2 million acquisition to my $270,000 acquisition, my net worth in terms of property to property was greater. Now we talk about the math. The net income he was generating off of that 12 unit was $5,000. The net income off of that 6 unit that I have was $5,000. You understand? So now what I do when I buy my properties, I'm looking for properties I could add value to. I don't want nobody's turnkey property. He was buying a turnkey property. I was buying a property that needed love.
What is a turnkey property? I'm very ignorant of real estate, my bad.
Turnkey means you can walk into it right now and put a tenant in it. It's already done, it's already ready. Now what he was saying was how it's worth 1.3, paying 1.2. There's no equity because somebody already went in there and added the value, rented it out, made it easy for you. So you're like a passive investor who just has money. You know, you might be a doctor, lawyer, somebody who don't have time but has money and just wants to park their money somewhere. That worked for somebody like that.
Absolutely.
With us as investors, we do what you call value add. When we buy something a little run down, might have the old brown cabinets, might have the walls with the popcorn ceiling. We might come in there and renovate it, put the granite countertops, the nice gray tones, and now we've increased the value to where our equitable position, like he's saying, it might double or triple. And then we still have a low payment where we can cash flow more. So we're going to sell it. When we go to sell it, we'll sell it at the same max value where we've already extracted all the value from it. So when he's saying net worth wise, we can be going side by side. Even though I might have 100 doors, he has 10, if I owe more than he owes on his 10 on my 100, then technically his net worth is greater than mine and his cash flow is better than mine. They were doing 5 and 5. He made 5,000. He made 5,000. He made 5,000 off of 270.
Thank you.
I made 5,000 off 1.2 million. He could do this 6 times for the same money I just spent.
Oh yeah, we about to get into this.
Oh, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
I'm ready now. What is the best strategy to flip a house, in your opinion?
There is not one strategy to flipping a property, right? Let me make something clear about flipping. I tell people all the time, the whole business of investing in real estate is a flip. When I tell people that, they don't grasp it, so I have to explain. I can explain in a minute. I can explain. Okay. So now, when I say that the business of investing in real estate, the entire business of investing in real estate is a flip, there's 3 major entry points that have been promoted, but there's a myriad of ways of investing in real estate. But the 3 major entry points of investing in real estate, number 1 is a wholesaler. Okay. What does a wholesaler do? A wholesaler gets a property under contract at the right price point to ultimately flip that property to someone like me or him. You follow me? Okay. Number 2, what does a flipper do? A flipper, the conventional term of flipper, what does a flipper do? A flipper gets a property under contract at the right price point, renovates that property, puts that property back on the market to ultimately flip that property to an end buyer, normally a retail buyer. Follow me?
Thanks.
Third, what is the next one? Buy and hold. What does a buy and holder do? A buy and holder gets a property under contract at the right price point, renovates that property, rents that property out, that ultimately flip that current mortgage into a long-term mortgage for passive income. The entire business of investing in real estate is a flip. So what happened is that we've compartmentalized different sectors based off of the financial position of an individual so you can market to them to sell them something. So you don't got enough money, bro? Why don't you start wholesaling? We could get you in here for $9.99. Oh, you have a little bit more money? Why don't you start flipping so you could put up that 10, 20, 30% that the hard money lender needs from you? Oh, you already have money? You have a rich uncle? You robbed the bank or something? You got cash you want to put up? Here, put up that for that 5, 10, or even 20% for that down payment for your multifamily property so that you have different sections to charge people. But once you tell and make a person understand everything about real estate is a flip, it makes it easier to understand the concept of being an investor in this game.
Yeah, I'm about to learn a lot during this interview. This is crazy. All right. If I was 18 and wanted to get into real estate, what are the first 3 steps you would tell me to take? And I want to hear both of y'all. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
18, jumping to real estate. So I have a couple mentees 18 that's in school right now, like graduating high school, right? The first thing I tell them to do is open a book and read, bro. I always tell everybody, first thing you do, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it gives you a real perspective of like life for one, and then the value of a dollar. With real estate, is really research. So that's what the re is in real estate. You have to do research. You have to be tapped into your environment and your market. So if you think you're gonna come into real estate, get rich and get quick, don't do it, because you're gonna waste your time and mine. I tell people, look at the research, figure out what part of the real estate they want to do first, what areas they want to purchase in, and why. You know what I'm saying? And then also I tell them, look at funding, right? So once you have a deal, you have to be able to fund that deal. So think about your sources of funding, how you're gonna do it, and what's your exit strategy. And the most important thing I always tell people is real estate, money's made on the front end, not on the back end. So if the deal don't work today on the front end, it's not gonna work on the back end, period. Money in real estate is made on the front end.
Let's go. Let's go. To add to what he says, I say you make your money on the buy.
Yep.
That's how you make money in real estate. That's the reason why you see a lot of the people today, during the pandemic and today, are suffering. That's why when I tell people, who cares about your interest rate? You brag about your 2% interest rate, your 3% interest rate, your 4% interest rate. Congratulations, you're stuck. They get offended by it. Don't get offended by me telling you it's all about the numbers. It's about the numbers. So let me explain to you. You bought your property with a low interest rate that everybody bragging about. 2%, 3% interest rate, but you overpaid for the property. You already overpaid for the property. You make your money on the buy. You overpaid for the property, so now the property with the 2%, 3% interest rate, you barely able to afford the current mortgage at the 2% interest rate. So all the fancy terms that we're talking about now with the BRRRR strategy, the HELOC, home equity line of credit, et cetera, how are you going to do it?
Can't.
You can't touch that mortgage. You can't touch that mortgage because if you touch the mortgage in a refinance, it's going to blow the current mortgage out the water. You understand? So now to go back, we could talk on that even deeper, but to go back to what you're saying, if somebody was 18 years old, what I would tell them to do, first thing I would tell them to do is humble yourself, take a deep breath, and start educating yourself. That's the first thing I would tell you to do. Educate yourself.
What would you recommend they start educating themselves?
I love what Lee said.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, that was a Bible for me.
Same.
But here's the wild part about it. Don't read just to read, to say that you read.
Right.
Because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read a book called The One. I read a myriad of other people's books, but I was reading it just to read so I could have a conversation piece to sound like I knew what the hell I was talking about. I didn't absorb the information to really internalize the information to understand what was it that I was reading. So definitely reading. You got YouTube University now. You could take the time, instead of just watching YouTube for the ratchet shit, take the information and absorb it. That's number one. Number two, I know that it's been watered down, the importance of one. Get yourself a mentor. It's been watered down, especially these last few years, that people want to box us all in as one group. No, I do this for real. This space of real estate, I do this for real. I'm not claiming that I'm bigger than anybody. I'm not smaller than anybody. But in the space of investing in real estate, I get to it. So get with a mentor. Get with somebody that wants to see you succeed. The third thing that I would tell you to do is keep working it until it works. Because what nobody want to tell you is that this business is a war. Nobody tells you that shit. Nobody tell you that shit. What most people do is they lead with the lifestyle. Yo, he pulled up with a Ferrari. Yo, he got a beautiful watch, chain on. What you didn't ask him is, bro, how did you get that watch? How'd you get that Ferrari? Because we ain't out here scamming nobody. We ain't out here scamming nobody. Oh, this is what I did. You know, I sacrificed. I educated myself. I lined myself up with the mistakes that I made. I learned from the mistakes of others. I kept pushing and working through. I got that first deal correctly. Nurtured that first deal to make sure that first deal is doing its thing before I jump to the next one, and so on and so on. You get what I'm saying? So I would tell y'all to keep working it until it works, because better be prepared, because you're gonna go through hardships. But is it worth it?
For sure.
I definitely got to ask this question and I feel like the audience thinking what I'm thinking when you said the person overpaid for the 2% interest rate. Please, man, I want you to walk this down, and then you next. What are y'all strategies to not overpay for the deal?
Well, first off with me, it depends on, it depends on, there's multiple entry points, and then you make adjustments based off, but the fundamental is the same. So if we're talking about multifamilies for rentals, I'm only looking for distressed and or underperforming properties. So I want a property that's distressed and or underperforming. Distressed meaning, I could curse? Yeah. That bitch is fucked up. Windows are broken. Handrails are missing. Lead paint. Underperforming could be somebody that's owned the property for an extended period of time. The rents should be $2,000, but he's renting it out for $800, and he doesn't want to get into the rehab work and everything that he needs to do to get it up to be able to force that rent that you can get.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Where do they start to find these prices?
Listen, the source of where you find your properties is irrelevant, because that's the finesse. People think that there's a gatekeeper to finding a property. So then they expecting when I'm speaking and Lee's speaking, these guys must have a chest somewhere, and they're like, yo, you can have it, I'm gonna keep the rest for me.
That's what it feels like.
It's not like that.
So let me blow everybody's mind. For me, I flipped over 130 houses in the last 5 years. I have a myriad of rental properties, and I'm gonna show you the art of what I do with my flips. Because you gotta do something with the flip money, not just go and spend it. How do I avoid overpaying the property? So if I'm looking to buy a property, I'm looking to buy a property I can add value to, right? So to avoid that, and the source I was saying to you, I apologize, I'm back now. Yeah. The source of where you find your properties is irrelevant because 85 to 90% of the deals that I've ever purchased came off the MLS.
That's like Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, stuff that everybody publicly can see.
Oh.
85 to 90% of any of the deals that you've ever seen me bought, renovated, flipped, kept as rentals were brought off of the MLS. But what happened is I'm looking at it through a different set of eyes. So what are you focused on? The majority of persons that are saying that there are no deals. You're skimming through. The first thing that you focused on is what the list price is. The list price is irrelevant.
Correct.
It does not matter. So what happens now? So let's just say it's going to be a multifamily or it's going to be a rental. You need to be able to determine what the value of that property would be if I made it beautiful, irregardless of what it's listed for. When you be able to determine that, then you're going to determine based off of today's market. I know that people have heard the 70% rule. The 70% rule is only a process. It's not a rule. So the 70% rule, when you understand the 70% rule, the process of it, all you're doing is just...
I don't know what the 70% rule is.
Okay, so I'm going to explain. You want to explain that?
Yeah, pretty much. So the purchase price and the renovation of a property combined should be under 70% of the after repair value. So let's use basic numbers. If a house is going to be worth $100,000 in its best condition, that means you can pay $40,000 to buy it, $30,000 to fix it. At that point, you've left 30% of positive equity, so that no matter how it goes, you will never be upside down unless, market change, something like that. But typically, you're still going to be straight in that buffer so that you have guaranteed equity in a deal. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'm going to have to watch this 100 times, this episode. And everybody who ever...
Oh, this is
the real estate episode right
It's
here.
going to get better.
It's the best real estate episode ever.
It's going to get better, but can I give a pro tip?
Go ahead.
Pro tip, as I said again, and my brother said already, the 70% rule is just a process. It's not the end all be all. So in today's market, in 2024, you're not looking to acquire anything at 70% anymore. You better be at a 60 to 65% of what you're acquiring. So when we're talking about that, as far as he said with a flip, as he said, if you're buying the property, you want to be all in on the property at $65,000. This is what you bought it for and what you rehabbed it for. And then the excess, the equity, that's going to cover your carrying costs. That's going to cover miscellaneous as far as taxes and any other miscellaneous things that you have to do as far as paying your realtor, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's a buffer left for your profit. Now, if you're talking about rentals now, you make a slight adjustment. It's not simply just 70% of. What you have to do is understand your market. Understand how much can you rent that apartment for at its best condition. I like that line. I'm going to take that. At its best condition. Then you have to factor in, is it a single family home that you're renting out, a duplex, a triplex, a 10 unit? Be able to multiply that times X, which will give you your gross income. Based off of the gross income on the adjustments that I'm doing, and I know you doing, is the acquisition amount that you need to be buying this property for, minus what it's going to cost you to rehab it, so that by the time you get this property on the market in terms of renting it, the cash flow is going to it's going to be able to service the debt exceptionally well and leave you with a net positive income every single month.
Yeah, y'all blowing my mind. Okay. Next question. Does location matter with real estate, and why?
It always matters, but there's a market for every real estate. So what happened to me? I brag about the mistakes I made. I brag about being taken advantage of. When I say taken advantage of, I'm talking about the realtors took advantage of me, the contractors took advantage of me.
So do you feel like you're going to pay, no matter who you are, you're going to pay for your ignorance in real estate?
Oh, 100%. And understand, you're gonna pay and you carry the entire weight. You carry the entire weight. This is why I tell people, when you come in with me, we talking, I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, the ugly of real estate. If you don't want that type of energy, don't come here. There's plenty of other people that'll give it to you the way you want. I'd much rather give you a hard truth than a sweet lie, right? You're going to be taken advantage of in this business, starting out.
No matter who you are.
I don't care who you are. They're gonna try you. These people are sharks out here and they could see you from a mile away. And they say, there you go.
They know you don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's what happened to me. So what happened with me when I first bought my property, I didn't understand acquisition. I didn't understand rehab. I didn't understand cash flow. But I had the ability to buy. My credit was good. My employment was good. And then you had people that could finesse information, documentation to get me qualified and buy. I thought that buying meant that I won. No, buying real estate is not a win. Stop taking it personal. People get upset with me when I say that. Buying real estate is not a win. It can end up being a win, right? Yeah. But simply getting invited to the party is not a win. So I say to you, I say to everybody in here, I say to the audience, when you understand you are the most important part of the entire equation, you walk in the room different. When I say you, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the investor and or the qualified buyer. Ain't nobody making any money at this table if I don't sign. Am I right or wrong?
Real.
Ain't nobody at this table, from you realtors to you mortgage lenders to the contractors to whomever else part of it, you appraisers, are not gonna make a nickel unless I'm qualified to do this. So there's a certain level of respect that you deserve. You understand? So when you don't understand your power, then you allow these others to make you believe that they're doing you a favor and looking out for you. And then you find out after the fact you bought yourself a bad deal. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. I overpaid. The property was purchased for $220. The realtor convinced me it was worth $300, but never verified the proof of that. I was told by the contractor it was gonna cost $30,000 to fix it, when in fact they inflated it and he stole my money. The apartments were supposed to be rented for $1,000 each, which meant there was $4,000 in gross income on a mortgage of $2,200, which meant I would be clearing roughly about $1,800. The best I could get out of each apartment was $500 a month.
You were upside down.
I was upside down. Then after 2 years, what is it that they've been teaching the people these last 2-3 years to do after a couple of months to a year or two? What they've been teaching the people to do?
Refi.
See, I didn't have to tell the brother nothing.
Damn.
Y'all all went to the same college. I knew he was gonna say that, and if he asked me, he knew I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
So what did I do? 2 years later, I refinanced. So when I refinanced, guess what happened at the refi? I was already dying.
Now you super.
I was already dying at the 220. So for people with your interest rates, I'm gonna show you how you about to die if you're not careful. So I refinanced, and when you refi, what normally happens?
Rate go up.
And what happens to the payment?
Payment go up too.
Thank you.
Yeah, because now you pulling out equity, which means you now owe them more money
Thank
on
you.
the loan
Thank
at a
you.
higher rate.
Thank you. So now let's make the logic of it. It's simple math.
Yeah.
If you are already dying at the current rate, I don't care if it's a 2%, 3%, 7%, you are already dying at that current rate. Now you're about to do a refi and you cashing out. Odds are more so than not, your circumstances are about to get worse.
Correct.
And that's what happened to me. My circumstance got worse. 2 years from that point, the property that I bought for $220,000, refinanced it 2 years later for $240,000. I lost that foreclosure for $60,000. The person that bought that $60,000 property at the time, that's who I am today. That's who I am today. So how he was looking for distressed and or underperforming, looking for somebody that was in a bad predicament, that was me. He capitalized on it. So that's who I am. That's who he is today.
I got 2 questions. I got a lot of questions. I'll be typing while we talk. You said earlier that people are sharks and they're going to spot you from a mile away.
Absolutely.
How have you been the shark? I'm going to ask that first, and then how can someone avoid being the bait?
Well, when you say the shark, I'm talking about the people that saw someone as an opportunity to take advantage of them.
But isn't that the whole...
No, that's not, you don't have to take advantage of somebody to make money with them.
So real estate is not about who gets the best end of this deal.
Everybody can eat. Getting the best end of a deal could mean that you're losing your property, but we purchased it now to minimize your impact on your credit so you can go fight another day. So there's different ways of everybody winning. So if somebody right now, we talked about this earlier, if somebody right now is in foreclosure, that person is gonna lose that house. If I'm not gonna buy it, somebody's gonna buy it. So why am I not gonna buy it? Why am I not gonna buy it? But what you're talking about as far as seeing them a mile away, you newbie investors just starting out that went on a couple of online courses, we see you a mile away. We see you a mile away. The level of conversation that we having with you, we see you a mile away. If the intent is malice, I'm going to tell you what you want to hear, how you want to hear it, to convince you to give me your money. So if my intent is to tell you, don't worry, little bro, don't worry, sis, I know you work for that $20,000, $30,000, or I know you work for that credit, I got you. Give me your money. I'm going to put you into a property, and I'm going to take care of the rehab for you. I'm going to also take care of the property management for you. Got him. Because what happened? You so naive, you looking for somebody that really want to see you win. So you hoping that this person that is talking to you in a beautiful manner, intent is really truthful to what they're claiming. I don't have a house to sell nobody. I don't have a house to sell nobody. So if somebody is conversing with me or you getting with me, the goal is for you to be independent of me.
Correct.
That's my goal. For you to be independent of me so that you can go out there and do it yourself. If you're not prepared or want to put in the work, don't do it. You understand? But you have people that'll see these type of people a mile away, finesse them, and we've heard the stories of what's been going on, right?
All right. Question. So it's gonna be, you know, as we get out of high school, we graduate college, we get into our careers, everybody wants to buy their first home. What would you guys tell first-time home buyers to avoid of not getting messed up? I want to hear yours first, because it's kicking with.
Well, here's the thing. You got to be clear on what your end goal is. The problem is that people are just excited to get to the closing table. So let's just say, hypothetically, let's just say it's you. And you want to buy a home for yourself, your family, your kids. You happy with your employment. You good. You prepared to pay retail. And you're satisfied with it. And you clear on what it's going to happen. I'm buying this property retail. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to deal with any of that. The mortgage is $3,000. I don't care. I'm making $10,000 a month. And you happy? Buy it. What happened is that people are building the plane in the air and finding out after the fact that after they bought the property, what they expected the end result of that property is going to be isn't. So if you're saying you want to buy a single family home, or you buying a single family home because that's going to be your primary residence, or are you buying that single family home because you're looking to rent it out for Airbnb or do like what you're doing, Or are you looking to buy that single family home to flip it? Which one? Okay, cool. You buying a multifamily? What are you buying that multifamily for? You have to be able to see from a macro position, what is it that you expect that this property is going to be able to do in terms of performance-wise, and roll it back to the micro point of where you at to make sure that the acquisition that you're buying it for, the cost of the rehab is going to make sense, and will it work? So this is how I tell everybody. Anytime you buying real estate, man, I love real estate, bro. I get lit about this shit.
Yeah.
I get lit about this shit, bro. So I'm going to give y'all some real game. Real estate is like a cancer. As human beings, our technology will only allow us to see cancer at a certain point where you can see it under the microscope. You agree?
Right.
But that cancer was growing before our technology could ever see it. Agree?
Right.
Okay, that's the same thing with real estate. So when you got your anecdotal property, that one property that you overpaid for, and I ask you, you paid, in my area in New York, I have a sister that paid $1 million. $1 million, hurting, right? And she's making $1,000 in net income per month. I asked her, you bought the property for, it's worth $1 million, excuse me, she didn't buy it for $1 million. It's worth $1 million. I asked her how much you paid for it. She said she paid $950,000 for this property. Ecstatic, too. In Brooklyn, a 4-unit property. She's netting, after expenses, $1,000 per month. I said, how do you like it? Oh, I like it. You know, at least I'm making something. I said, you sure about that? She said, yeah. I said, okay, bet, check this out. In real estate is like a cancer. If you double it, quadruple it, 10x it, 20x it, and it continues making sense, keep going. But if you double it, quadruple it, 10x it, and there's a problem, it doesn't make sense as you're proceeding, you got a problem. So I said, no problem. You said you bought the property for $950. It's worth $1 million, which means you got an equitable position of $50,000. You put up, at a minimum, she put up, I believe it was 5%. Whatever 5% of that comes up to, I said, you aren't making no money until you recoup what it cost you to get into that property. But since you said you like it, that means you should be comfortable enough to buy a second one in the same manner. So now, you got 2 properties now. At $950 each, that's at $1.9 million, and now you're making $2,000. How you like that? Well, okay, cool. Let's 4x it. 4x it at 1.9, what is that? 1.9 times 2 is, what is that? 3.8 million in debt, real numbers, and now you're making $4,000 a month. How you like that? I don't like that. Yeah, so that's why I said to her, that's the problem. When you're looking at that property at its individual position, it feels like it's okay. At least I bought it. It's not until you start multiplying the growth, following the manner of how you did it, is when you start to realize the cancer of the problem that you have. By that point, for most people, it's too late. They're already too over-leveraged. They're in 3, 4 properties, over-leveraged across the board. And all it takes is one property to start giving problems, and the whole portfolio comes down.
Okay. I'm gonna allow you to ask him some questions, Justin. Cause you want me to keep going?
I think what the people probably want to know too is, like, when I was looking at it, when I go back to this question about being an 18-year-old, like, and I said, how I'm a funded deal. What are the ways you fund your deals? How are you purchasing them? When you go to the bank?
I tell people again too, and as far as the financing, the source of where you get your money is also irrelevant, because everybody got the money. Everybody in Atlanta got the bag. You agree with me?
For sure.
Okay, it's what you choose to do with the money. So don't be a person driving a $50,000 car talking about you ain't got no money to buy real estate, because you should have been driving a $5,000 car temporarily to use the difference to buy real estate that would have paid for the $50,000 car anyways. So the source of where you find money, the source of where you get the money is irrelevant, because everybody's circumstances is different. It could be you have a rich uncle that's willing to give you the money. It could be that you gainfully employed and you prepared to bust your tail at work the overtime to take that money to invest. It could be you and your spouse. It could be you got a retirement fund. It could be that you robbing a bank. There's a myriad of ways of getting the money. It's up to you to choose that and then to be disciplined enough to do something with the money. What happened is that we've seen, especially during the pandemic, getting a bag through liquidating. I know people were talking about liquidating credit cards and all this other crazy shit that I would never do, right? But cool, you did that. Getting the money is easy. What's the game plan after you get the money? They don't have it.
Right.
Now you got the debt. Now you got to service the debt with no money coming in to service the debt. Now you got that weight on your shoulders. What are you going to do about it? And this is what you see every day, every day, every day, every day. And we gotta be careful out here, man. We gotta be careful.
Okay. So you mentioned Airbnb and y'all real estate guys, you know, so would you recommend Airbnb to people? Airbnb or real estate?
Airbnb is real estate. There is no Airbnb without real estate.
Right.
All right. But then at the same time, too, Airbnb, well, real estate is a business, period. Let's make that clear. Real estate is a business, but Airbnb is managing that business on a different level, put it that way. So people think that all I have to do is buy my property listed on Airbnb, and you don't even know how to properly manage that Airbnb to keep it rented and keeping your ratings high so that you could make money. So for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Airbnb, if it's long-term rentals, or if it's for traveling nurses. But for myself personally, I used to have Airbnb. It's not the business I'm into. There's nothing wrong with it. I got a good friend of mine, Jude Bernard. He's clearing $70,000 a month off of one property. I have another good friend of mine who's good with the traveling nurses. I did that as well. I didn't like it. I like long-term rentals. Set it and stabilize it and move on to the next one. So that's my business model. But either way, the fundamentals is the same for every one of them, at the acquisition, to the cash flow, to whatever it is that the debt is, to service, to then whatever your net is after all expenses is paid.
So you're saying Airbnb, it doesn't matter, just go get the money pretty much. Or no, do what's best for you.
No, educate yourself first.
So you would recommend Airbnb?
I wouldn't recommend anything. I wouldn't recommend anything because what I recommend is the education aspect. Because you have people, okay, I'll have people that'll say, Welby, I don't want to flip houses in the conventional sense of flipping. I only want to buy and hold. Cool, no problem. Let's talk about that. What is your game plan to buy that first property? Oh, I saved up 20%. I'm going to put the 20% down, and let's just say it's not a turnkey. Let's just say it's a property that needs work. So you bought the property, you need work. Now you got the property, it's stabilized. Now give me the game plan to get the second one. They're stuck. They don't know. In business, but in particular real estate, if you do not know how to continue generating money so that you can continue injecting it into your business, eventually you're going to get stuck. When I tell people you're going to get stuck or you're stuck now, they get offended by it. So you bought the first property. Now you want to get to the second property. What's the game plan to get to the second property? They don't know. Okay, cool. Let's just say you did get to the second property. What's the game plan to get to the third property? Because we're talking about growth, right? They don't know how. Now ask me, what do? I realized at the beginning, I'm in the game 21 years. My first 13 years was dismal. I got wiped out in this business 3 times to 0. I got wiped out. I lost it all, credit destroyed, foreclosures and everything. What I kept doing is I didn't realize I was insane. Why? Because I kept doing the same shit for 13 years over and over again, expecting a different result. I was insane. And I thought that it was a get-rich-quick scheme. And then I said, real estate is bullshit. This shit don't work. I had to realize, regardless of how I felt about everybody, I had to realize and accept the fact that this all started with me. I was the problem. So then I realized, well, you need money to invest. How are you going to invest? Because I'm not rich. I don't have rich family. I don't have an abundance of money at the time for my employment. So what am I going to do? I'm going to flip houses, bro. I'm going to flip houses, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick to the game plan. The source of where you find your property is irrelevant. I don't care if it's coming from a wholesaler. I don't care if it's a subject to. I don't care if it's a hookup from you. I got to ask the same questions. What is the value of that property when I finish it? Oh, the value of that property is this. Let me understand how much is it going to cost me to fix that property. Oh, okay, cool. The most I can offer you is this. I had to develop thick skin and accept the fact that the majority of the properties that you're going to put offers on, you're not going to get them. So I kept getting slapped in the face, slapped in the face, slapped in the face, slapped in the face. And then guess what? Welby, we got one.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, let's go. I knew I was going to make money because I was buying it right. I knew what the cost of the rehab was going to be, and I built out a team to get it going. I made $60,000 off of that deal. I took $60,000, and guess what I did? I did nothing with the money. I reinvested it back into the business. And then I did it again. Before you know it, believe it or not, my story, I saved up over $1 million in cash just following that process. I'm not going out. I'm not buying a new car. We ain't going on no vacay. This is what we got to do. Saved up.
Sacrifice.
Yeah. Then I understood I'm going to take the monies that I made from that, and now I got to take this money to have this money work for me passively. So what did I do with that money? I looked for distressed and or underperforming rental properties. I got the bag already because I did the work to have the bag, and I put 20% down on a distressed property or underperforming property. I hope the audience is hearing what I just said. I didn't buy your turnkey property. I bought your distressed property, and I put 20% down on that distressed property. The equity's all up in that property. So when people are wondering, how is it that I get my wealth up, my equitable position up how fast, while you're waiting for appreciation, me and my brother's forcing the appreciation.
That was a major jump right there. It's either you wait or you create it. That's really the market in this business. And those who realize that when you go into environments and people say, oh, they gentrifying the area. No, that's somebody who's seen it and forced the appreciation. All in the Bluff, all in Mechanicsville. A couple years ago when I came to Atlanta, those areas was crazy. But then when you start seeing the white paint and blue doors, you're wondering why the value of grandma's house is now $50,000, it's $200,000, $300,000 now, because somebody coming in forcing the appreciation and extracting all the value out and raising the prices. But
I wanted to say I just was looking on my phone because I came up with a quote that's powerful about I'm proud of you, bro. You give me goosebumps because I was your age starting out. Mm. So he learned, he understood. To hear what he's doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So here, I say this. Equity creates wealth, but cash flow maintains wealth sustainability. So when I say that, you understand what I said with that, right? So get in the bag. We're in America, bro. The bag is there. You just got to go get it. So why you think when mom and dad pass away or grandma pass away and grandma left a $100,000 property, it's out of here? The kids don't know how to sustain that. So wealth is subjective. Wealth is, you got $1 million. Your wealth is $1 million. You have $5 million. Your wealth is $5 million. I got $100,000. My wealth is $100,000. If you don't have a game plan to maintain your million, your 5 million, my 100,000, now you living off of it. So that's why you have to develop passive income. It could be through real estate, which is what we love. It could be because you have your business. that's passively generating to maintain that. What most people are doing is they have X amount of money and they living off of that, which is why it dwindles until it obliterates and there's no more.
Yeah, I got so many questions. Y'all killing me. When is the best time to refinance?
It's really for the individual. The thing is that this business is not a cookie cutter business. Even though you have people that want to believe that it is, or they convince you that it is, this is why my DMs get flooded. And they ask me, the number one question that people ask me every time, Welby, how do I get started? I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know you. They're expecting me to say, oh, you know what you should do? You should start investing in Nova Scotia. Or you know what you should do? You should start going to Home Depot. And I've heard people teaching people how to steal in Home Depot in classes, bro. Yeah. It's real out here, bro. It's real out here. I can't tell you how you should get started unless we have a conversation. Based off of that conversation, we start at the macro point and rewind it back to the micro point. I had a gentleman that that met me, and he said, "Listen, I have my daughter. She's in high school, 12th grade. She's about to graduate. I don't want my kid to have any school debt." He's like, "I have no interest in being a landlord or anything. I just want to be able to make enough money of $60,000 so that my kid do not have to get student loans." He learned the game. He flipped one house, bro. He made a little over 60,000, actually a little less than 60. He made 57,000, whatever it is. He's like, yo, I'm out. I'm retired. I'm out of here. His goal was to get his kid not to have any student loans because he was happy with what he was doing. So it has to be an individual conversation. That's why when I have people that come to me for mentorship or join any of my mentorships, we have to have a conversation, bro. Because you getting the money is easy. You having the money is easy. What's your reasoning for it? What is it? And then make sure that you are where you're supposed to be to achieve it. You understand? So I just can't simply answer that like that because it's too wide of an open question to answer something like that.
Okay, so asking when's the best time to refinance is too vague of a question.
Correct.
In your opinion, so too?
I mean, you asking, I understand what you're asking.
Oh, but it has to be for what context too?
Like why?
Yes.
So like I add a little to it. Like you can have a property like me. I'll use my personal example. My house. I bought my house in 2018 for $165. I had a 5% interest rate, 5.25 to be exact, right? In 2020, everybody was refinancing because of rates. But in 2020, I said, okay, what is my house worth? I paid $165. At that time, it was worth $285. I said, oh, the time is now to refinance. Why? Because my house is worth way more than it was when I bought it. The mortgage rates are tremendously lower. And what does this do for me? Well, when your rate is lower and your value is higher, your loan to value ratio goes down,
right.
which makes the money cheaper to a bank. It's less of a risk. Because it's almost like, okay, if the house is worth almost 2 times what you owe, we'll give you the money here for way less money. We'll give it to the next person. So when I refinanced after buying it only 2 years in, I was actually a year and 4 months in. I was able to go from $1,284 a month mortgage to $640.
Yeah.
The time was then to refinance. On the flip side, I've had deals where I have apartment complexes and rates drop, but my value didn't increase. So the closing costs to refinance would have added more debt to my already high mortgage.
Beautiful.
So there's no point in refinancing even though the rate dropped. What about the 3% closing costs?
Beautiful.
You see what I'm saying? So when he's saying it's real, it's like it depends on the individual. Now, had I needed the money and I would take this cash and go buy another multifamily, then I might have took that risk. But if you don't have an actual reason and a clear understanding of what you're doing, it's not like an organic, I'm gonna just refi today, refi tomorrow. I got properties I bought with hard money that I'm still sitting on, I ain't refi yet because it don't make sense yet. I'd rather pay the hard money, just look extra 10% interest, interest only, than go refi 30 years and pay a higher mortgage because the cash flow is not there.
Beautiful.
You gotta just know.
It's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful, man. I have properties that are in the fives. I've never had a property at the twos. I never capitalized on it. And I had people, even in the comment sections, when I would tell them that my interest rates are 5.25, and they say I'm an idiot because why would I not refinance to a lower term? And then I tell them what they don't understand is the principal and interest is what the principal and interest is. The taxes and insurance the taxes and insurance doesn't drop in a refi. The only thing that drops is the principal and interest. My payments on that property is $1,200. Literally, the principal and insurance, the principal and interest on it was $600 roughly. So if I would have went from a 5 to a 2, I was saving like $60. It made no sense to add that, but people were chasing the rates. People are in love with the rates versus the overall deal, which is why I never touched mine. It was a bunch of my property, I never touched them.
Okay. Y'all going crazy. Okay, next question. How does real estate save people money on taxes?
Well, you could do a depreciation. You could depreciate. A lot of the work that you do, like capital projects, is tax deductions as well. I understand. I'm not a tax person. My accountant deals with that for me. But those are definitely the big things. The depreciation of the asset. You could write off the improvement of the property. And more. I mean,
So, I mean, what he's saying is real. The depreciation. So, if y'all don't understand depreciation means like as you own something, the longer you own it, value decreases systematically, not in real life. They think that, oh, if I have a house for 30 years, then the roof's going to get 30 years. Every year the roof gets older, the more chance that it will have a defect in the future. So they'll compensate you for that. So you're able to ultimately write off the depreciation of a property and say that even though you're making money on a property, use the depreciation to offset your income to where it look like you ain't make no money. But when you go to the bank to get a conventional loan, the one thing they add back is depreciation. So it's just a tax play. If you do a flip or say that you buy a property and you go out and sell it, right? You can do what you call a 1031 exchange. So if you flip a property today, when you go to that closing table, they're gonna give you this check and a W-9. That means that you're gonna pay taxes on this, and that's capital gains tax. If you don't own it as a single family home for over a year and it's your primary residence, you have to pay capital gains tax. So if you then say, okay, I'm a 1031 this, that means I'm gonna take all the money I made here and go dump it into another property. You pay no taxes on your income. And then what you turn around and on that property is that you just pay cash, you refinance out of it. Now you just turn a cash that you would have paid 30% taxes on into free income and a tax write-off because the mortgage interest is a write-off.
Listen, Aristotle, you know how refreshing it is to sit next to somebody that's talking his shit that's for real? You know how many times I've been sitting on panels or I sit next to somebody and they talking, go to some of my interviews, and I'm like, this motherfucker is full of shit. You know what I'm saying? So to hear somebody speaking that, it's refreshing, man. And let me tell you, when I said that 2024 is the year of authenticity, the people are tired of the BS, man. The people don't want to hear the lifestyle marketing or how great your life is. Show me how you did it if you claim that you did. You get what I'm saying? I made my money in real estate. Long before anything with social media came about, I made my money in real estate. Everything else is an addition because of, but the foundation of it is because of real estate.
Yeah, y'all going crazy. All right, I got more. So, when do you feel like you got lucky or blessed in real estate? Because, like, there's been times, I'm a stock trader, and there's been times where I was like, boy, that was God. Like that, like it was, yes, I put the money up. Yes, I wanted to do this, but boy, it did this.
Good.
So for me, my journey was not 13 years like Big Bro. You know what I'm saying? I've been in real estate since 2018 individually, right? So when COVID shut down and the early symptoms of COVID, everybody started panic selling. I bought. That's when I got like my real net worth, and I purchased a bunch of properties because during that time people were in the middle of flips and thinking, oh my God, nobody can work, nobody got money, businesses are closing. People that don't have essential service jobs can't generate money. If you don't work from home and have a salary job, what you gonna do? So they selling, everybody's panic selling. During that time, I said, I'm gonna take the risk because I'm seeing houses that were on the market for 180, 200, where they willing to take 85, 90. I said, okay, man, I'm gonna position myself and just take the risk. And it just ended up working out. So I took the risk and said, okay, I follow bro with the 70%. I said, if I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna go 60%. I held stuff for a year. So I was buying in 2020. 2021 came around, everybody's overpaying. So I got some, I put 100 out, I sold for 330.
Crazy.
Went back and kept going. Now I'm back at it again at the auctions buying them. So I got lucky because when people were buying them with the 2% rate, overpaying, over asking, I'm eating it up because I bought when y'all panicked sold thinking it was going to be a crash, but it wasn't. It was an opportunity. So that's why I was like, man, I was lucky because that's really where I really made my staple into it. And most of the properties I own today, I bought then.
I could say that the luck, it definitely luck plays a part because nothing is guaranteed. But at the same time, he was prepared. If he wasn't prepared, then none of this would have occurred. So that's what happened with me in a lot of ways too, is that I prepared myself and then I had opportunities pop up that normally I would have not been able to take advantage of because I wasn't prepared. And it could be for whatever reason, financially I wasn't prepared or I wasn't educated enough to see it for me to pounce on it, you know? So but that happens to me all the time. Luck plays a part, definitely, but it's the biggest thing is just being ready for the opportunity that pops up. And then also too, in this market right now, the hardest thing to do is to be patient. And it's to practice the discipline because you see things aren't slowing down. You see that the market is still moving, but we're gonna hit a brick wall because it's not sustainable.
So you never like nothing ever happened to where it was like, dang, like that was luck, kinda. Like you can't name one little instant where it was like, man, I bought this. I ain't expected to do this though. It exceeded your expectation.
Not to that extent. Not to your extent in that way that you said. I can say, for example, the pandemic, that was probably one of the best things that happened to me as well. Because I can't say my rentals blew my mind to what I was able to generate. I always make money out the gate from my rentals, but because of the pandemic, I expected, like, for example, my 3-bedroom apartments, they were renting for, let's say an average of $1,400, $1,500. I figured it would go up $1,700, $1,600. Man, them shits, no, that was my 2 bedrooms. My 2 bedrooms was being rented for $900, and I figured it could go up to $1,100. They blew past at $1,500 plus. And multiply that times X amount of apartments that are already net positive already. So I've benefited things like that I've had. But as far as like explosives like in that way, nah, not really, no.
Okay. So I would like to know this because people will always ask me when I go on interview, what was your best trade? So what is your most profitable property or deal or whatever you want to?
One of my best flip that I did was a property that I bought. I bought the property for $151,000. I spent $70,000 plus on it. I projected it at the time when I acquired it, it would sell for $365,000, which would have had me making, I can't do the math on top of my head, but it was close to 6 figures. But the property in fact sold for $435,000, and I netted about $143,000 on that deal. That was the best flip I've done. But my average flips, they're averaging $75,000, give or take. I'm averaging on my flips for the most part.
That's dope.
Yeah. So like you were saying, flips, it just depends on which part of it that you're doing. My biggest win was gonna be my commercial space. So in 2020, once again, 2021, after I sold that property I made $200K on, I had cash. I grabbed 3 acres in Decatur, commercial, but also could be used for apartments, townhouses. It was a church. Paid 80 grand for it. They was asking 180. Wholesaler contract expired. I pull up the next day to the owner, 80K. He like, I'll give it to you for 80, man. I just ask that you don't sell this property. And if you do, bless another black brother. He said, no problem. Pay 80 for the property, right? Sat on it for 2 years trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it, trying to get a permit, couldn't figure it out. Came back last year, right? Started working on it. Knocked it down. Started to say, okay, I'm going to do a big office space, 10,000 square feet. And I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with the space. So I put an event space in there. I put a salon in there, salon suites. I put a photo studio, a podcast room, and then I put my office. I needed a corporate office for me and my businesses, right? I put out my pocket like $680K, all my money at the time, cash, all of my money into this property, right? I did that though because I knew once I refinanced it and I turned it into a commercial office complex, even though I own everything in there.
Absolutely.
When you go to a commercial appraisal, they're gonna look at income approach, not about where I'm at. I'm in the hood in Glenwood, but I got a $3 million building sitting here because the income approach says that
the value is
exactly based on this square footage of this 10,000 square foot building. The income approach states that this building is worth $3 million, even though I'm in it for the renovation and the build out no more than $750. So now I go back into the bank, walk into the bank, refinance it, right? I can't make this up. I refinanced it for exactly what I had in it. I pulled out $787 for the refi just to pay myself back and to get my bread back from the loan that I purchased the land with after I refinanced that, right? Now I then go back to the bank again and say, hey, I need a line of credit. And it's secured. It's hard to get a line of credit for $2 million. It's easy when you got an asset
absolutely, bro,
worth $2 million. That was my biggest win. I just did this, bro.
And the game that he just shared, fire, because he was strategic instead of being greedy. So the key thing that I hope your audience paid attention to is that he refinanced to get his money back. He didn't take another bite at the apple where you have most people would have refinanced for at the 70% for $220,000 or $2.1 million is what they would have done. And now, yeah, you got the $1 million+ in cash, but you got a debt of $1 million and your mortgage is X amount of money. He kept, give me back my $750.
Yep.
And then now let me go to the bank. He's paying a mortgage of $750. His mortgage principal interest, etc., is low. I know you're doing well with all of the rentals in there. And then the access to the money that he wanted, he has more access to even more money than he would have gotten if he simply refinanced.
Correct.
You understand? So creative financing, clarity, long-term projection, that's so important in this space, you know?
You know something? So like every time I think about my net worth, I always think about the fact that I bought my mansion cash for $1.45 million, right? I cashed out on it. This was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I own it flat out. So I got a question because now I'm like, okay, now I need help. If I refinance and now it's worth 1.5 something, do I get that 1.5?
If you refinance, they're gonna give you 70% of the value of the 1.5. If you did a line of credit, they'd give you, some banks will give you as much as 90%.
Bingo. That's why I did that.
So I'm gonna need your help with that because I need that money back. I told my wife, because I had to hurry up and move. So this house was so special that I was like, I gotta buy this cash because if not, my loan, yeah, I'm gonna lose it. That house was perfect. I was like, baby, I'm sorry. Give him the whole 1.4. Like, we gotta move.
But here's the thing is, if you do the line of credit, there is no mortgage on the line of credit unless you use it.
Correct.
That's the beautiful part about lines of credit, or what people call home equity lines of credit.
Yeah, we gonna talk about.
Yeah, but can I touch that, please? Because people are gonna salivate hearing what we just said. And then you're gonna have a lot of people that have home equity, well, excuse me, that have equity in their properties that can do home equity lines. And I say to those people, most people should not touch the home equity line of credit of their property. Don't even do it. Because what's gonna happen is now, they're gonna go get a home equity line, use that home equity line to go buy themselves another property, right? And what they're not understanding that is that a home equity line of credit, I like to call a second mortgage or a phantom mortgage, which is usually an interest-only payment. So if you, not in your circumstance, but in most people's circumstance, which I say shouldn't touch it, you're gonna now have a current mortgage on your property. Your current mortgage on your property is what you servicing, the owner. I'm servicing that. Then now I get a home equity line of credit that has to be serviced that you're gonna use to then go buy a third property. So now you got 3 mortgages. You got your first mortgage, you got your phantom mortgage, which is your home equity line of credit, which you used as a down payment to acquire the next property that you then put a mortgage on that. See how you get yourself in trouble if you're not careful? So all it takes is any one of those circumstances to be a problem. If you're not careful, if you don't buy correctly so that you could properly make sure that the property is gonna not even service the home equity line, pay it off within a few months or less. That's how you get yourself in trouble. So that's why I tell people, most of you should not be doing home equity lines of credit on your properties because you're gonna end up losing everything with that if you're not careful.
That's facts. You really got to know what you're doing and why.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask these questions in conjunction with each other. So the first question gonna be, what should people do? What would you recommend someone do in 2024? Like, how is the real estate market in your opinion in 2024? Then my next question after that, if you want to marinate it, is what do you guys think people should invest in as you see the future in real estate? Well, go ahead. What do you think they should do now? What's hot now, 2024 real estate?
Everything about real estate is it.
It's still good, 2024.
Always a good time to buy real estate depending on what your end goals are.
So they saying, you know how news and stuff be saying the real estate market gonna crash? What's your opinion on that? And what's your opinion on that?
Listen, real estate's gonna get hit. We long overdue for one. Maybe it's not gonna be as catastrophic as what happened in '08. I can agree with that. But we're long overdue for a proper correction. We haven't had one yet. So now what happens is, you guys are a bit younger than me. You never experienced what happened in '08. You don't understand what happened in '08. So now what happens is, you got people that are your age or a little bit older that are arrogantly thinking that the gravy train is never gonna end. It's eventually gonna be a change. So now if you say, should someone do today? It still goes back to what I say. What is your long-term goal on that property? If you okay with spending retail for that property because of where you at and you satisfied with it because you're not looking to make money off of that property and you're looking to give it time to grow because you're doing your own thing, then buy the property. But if you're talking about that you're looking to create a business, look at, I don't care what part of the country, the appreciation of the properties are so fast, it's not keeping up with where the rents are. Right? It's not keeping up with where the rents are. So now you're buying this property, you're paying X amount for the property in whichever manner that you're buying it. With FHA, 5%, 20% down, whatever it is, you barely making enough money to cash flow. You're making just enough to cash flow. Then I tell everybody, you don't make money until you recoup what it costs you to do it. So if you bought the property putting 20% down and you bought the property for $500,000, how much is $500,000? 20% of that is $100,000, right? Right? 100, right? Yeah. So now you're renting out and you're now saying you're netting $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month. That means it's gonna take you, divided by 100,000, how many years to break even? You understand what I'm saying to you? So where are you making money? Oh, you could bank on the appreciation. I understand that, but appreciation is a number on a piece of paper. Equity means absolutely nothing if you can't tap into it. Are you in a position to be able to survive maintaining that property so that you can tap into that equity through a HELOC or through a sale or whatever it is? If you can't, it means nothing.
Okay, so what's y'all prediction on the future? I mean, of course you say a correction is coming, but what should somebody do now to prepare themselves for the future? You think they should buy and hold some stuff?
What do you think?
I think, from looking at it, I'm gonna say this. I piggyback 100% off of what you're saying because it all goes back to the purpose. I think personally that it's always a good time to buy, like you said. Like literally, it's always a good time to buy. And no matter what happens, when people think recessions, the real estate market crashes, all that's well and fine and dandy, right? But when that happens, best believe real wealth is created in a recession. Just to be real with you. Like a lot of people came up in recessions in time of turmoil. Like that's when the come up happens. That's when my family came up. Like in New Orleans when Katrina happened, my mama bought everything.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? 2,000, 3,000, churches for 1,000 a block. Everything, bro. But that was a turmoil. It was a crash. It's a hectic environment. Nobody wants to buy. Somebody's going to be smart enough to take the risk, but be in position and position themselves to win. So what I would tell people is always position yourself. Don't have to get ready, stay ready. You know what I mean? Like, live below your means. Like he said, drive that car that's 5,000, now 50. That was me. I was working corporate driving an old 2007 Lexus, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was eating that Dollar Tree, catching a martyr to work because I couldn't sit in traffic and waste my gas. I needed that to buy property.
Real stuff.
So position yourself to be in a position so that when it does come, if it comes what you're expecting, you could actually buy. Because if it comes and you can't, you still stuck. So I think personally, be in position, look at the market. I would say at all times, keep your credit A1 because that's really what's going to get you that capital. You know what I mean? That's what that was my biggest nugget. Like keep that credit A1.
What's the minimum amount you guys think people need for the three things you said? You said it was wholesaling, it was buy and hold, and this. And what was the last one?
Oh, buy, hold, and flipping.
Flipping.
Yeah.
So can you break down, in y'all opinion, the minimum amount for all three of those strategies?
Once again, there is no clear answer for that. There is no minimal because it's all dependent on the position that you in.
But I heard y'all say like people should have at least 30K before they get in real estate.
I've never said that. I never give a finite number on it because, okay, so let's just say somebody does have $30,000. Then the next question is what market you're going to invest in. Because what you could do for $30,000 in one market might not match the market that you're currently in because it's overpriced. So it goes back again to having an in-depth conversation so that you understand the position that person is in. Now, let's just say that from that conversation, the fact is you can't play over here. That's okay. You know why it's okay? Because you got clarity. Maybe it's because you need to be playing over there. Or maybe you know what? You're not strong enough to be playing at all. You need to get your weight up. How? Through the education, educating yourself, having meetings, group meetings with people, or when you do group meetings with other like-minded people, getting yourself prepped and ready to go, so that you are prepared. Identify the market that you can invest in. I tell people, stop catching flights to start investing in real estate. You have no business catching a flight as a new investor to start investing in real estate out of state. There's a market in your backyard that you can afford. You just haven't looked hard enough to find it.
So what you're telling me is I could be in Savannah, Georgia. I could be in St. Louis, Missouri. I could be in Memphis, Tennessee. I could be in Los Angeles, California. But there's opportunity in all of those things I just named.
I guarantee it. You have no business. Here's what happened. That's once again what happened to me when I first started. I live in New York City. So what I started doing is I'm trying to compare apples to oranges. So when I got presented that 4-family in Georgia, it was sold for $220. I said, damn, that's cheap. If I was buying that in Brooklyn, New York, I would have paid $1 million. Oh, that gotta be a deal. So what did I learn over the time? There is no such thing as a cheap market. There is no such thing as a cheap property in America. There's no such thing. Everything is subjective to the individual. So I asked a simple question. For, let's say, somebody that's famous. Oh, would you say that $1 million property is expensive?
Would I personally me?
Yeah.
I would.
Would Floyd Mayweather say $1 million property is expensive?
No.
Okay. What's expensive to one person is not to another. It's not that the property is cheap. You can't afford that yet. So I had to understand that for myself. At the time, I'm trying to play in a market that I'm not prepared to play in. But what my mistake was is I went too far. I'm catching flights. I'm trying to manage a property from a distance. You have no business managing a property from a distance, so here's the new finesse. Or not the new finesse, but the new trick. Don't worry about it. Hire yourself a property manager. So then my next response is, cool, you hired yourself a property manager. Now who's going to manage the property manager? If you don't have the ability to manage your property, how are you going to manage the property manager managing your property? When I was doing that, the property manager was finessing me. Property manager was telling me the tenants didn't pay no rent. They know that I'm 3 hours away. How am I going to confirm if in fact the tenant paid the rent or not? I can't. When they said that the hot water tank busted, it cost me $1,600 to replace the hot water tank. They gave me receipts too. Then I go, they didn't know I was coming the following week just for another reason. I knock on the door to the tenant and say, hey, how's the apartment? Has the hot water tank? Hot water tank. I said, yeah, we have to replace your hot water tank in here. No, come inside. There was no hot water tank replaced. So how do you manage your property manager from a distance that you require you to have to catch a flight to manage your property? So I always tell people this. In real estate or in business, your business is your baby. So imagine you got a beautiful son. You got beautiful kids. Remember that day when your baby was born? Remember when you had to go to the hospital and you see what's your son name if you don't mind?
Justin Jr.
Justin Jr. So you saw Junior and you looked at him, you held Junior. Man, Junior, I'm going to give you everything, baby. And then now it's time to go home. Junior is going to stay at the hospital and you leave. And they tell you, don't worry, come back 6 months from now so you can see how Junior is doing. What would you tell those people?
Kiss my ass.
Okay. That's essentially what you did with your property. Your business is your baby that needs to be nurtured and cared for. Ain't nobody going to nurture and care for your child better than you. Agreed or no?
100%.
Agreed or no? Ain't nobody gonna care or nurture your business more than you. So how the hell are you ready to relinquish control of your baby, your business, to give to someone else before you even understand what your business needs? When your business is not moving a certain way, what was the issue? How do you do that? And that's where you see a lot of people mess up big time starting out here investing. So there's a market in your backyard. I don't care what market you are in.
It could be the country.
I do not care what market you are in. There's a market that you can get to if it's an 2-hour drive.
Mm-hmm. True.
You're telling me that it's not worth you making hypothetically $50,000. A 2-hour drive ain't worth it?
We talking Montana. It's opportunity there.
Everywhere, bro.
Everywhere.
The desert.
Rhode Island.
The desert. Vegas was a desert. That was a desert, bro.
Yeah.
Look at it now.
Okay. So you do believe that, because, I hear everybody saying go to the urban black areas, the Cleveland, Baltimore, what was the other one that they say, Detroit. Do you feel like we should invest there?
I mean, why not? Why not? But my personal opinion, because one thing we always have to be careful of, because they always try to put us pinned against each other. Right? As long as you're doing good business and you're doing right business with your people and they come into whatever those cities that you describe, go ahead. Go do that. Now, my personal opinion, you have no business catching a flight, investing in other areas that you're dependent on what someone else is going to do for you. You have no business. It's been tried and tested. The track record has already proven itself.
So you know people who failed tremendously. You just know more people who failed than not in that.
The track record has already proven itself. I don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. We don't have to throw shots at anybody or anybody imply. The track record has already proven itself, that business model. So now my personal opinion, I would never suggest it. For those that are, make sure that you're doing your homework, because the ones that they are doing what I can't admit, they doing good business. They know who they are, but we want to keep it respectful. And that's just a handful. When I tell you a handful, you can count them on 3 fingers.
Who can successfully invest out of state?
That they're going to, that's doing it for the people. There's only 1 or 2 people, 3 people at tops of this, right? Aside from that, the rest of the play, we all knew what happened with that and what it was. All right? Stop relinquishing your control. Stop giving up your control. I run my business. I have people, of course, that are underneath me. I don't do the day-to-day, every day, but I run the show. Nobody touches my money. Nobody collects and then diverts to me. I collect or it hits money, then I disperse X amount, right? If there's an issue with a property, I have 2 phones, right? Something happens with the property that's severe, I'm gonna get a message. Even if I don't respond, I'm already watching and seeing what's going on. You can't tell me that there's a flood in my apartment, which has happened several times with some of my properties. I can tell you where the water valve shutoff is. I can tell you where it is because that's my baby. That's my baby. I need to know what's going on with my property. You get what I'm saying? So now with me putting in that work, I can go, man, I've gone months not going to my areas to go see what's up with my properties because, you know, shit's moving. My money's coming in and there's a problem to evict. I know, boom, I got a Rolodex of people that I need to handle, give it to the attorney to do X, Y, Z. But that took time to build that.
Okay. Perfect. You said eviction. What's the best strategy to evict a tenant?
Well, New York is special, bro.
Oh, it's about where you at.
Well, New York is not a landlord-friendly state. So you could go through an eviction process upwards of 2 years before you can get the person out and them not paying any rent or anything like that. Now, Connecticut is also not a landlord-friendly state, but it's not as a population is not.
Can you explain landlord-friendly?
Atlanta is a landlord-friendly.
What does landlord-friendly mean?
That it gives more to the landlord in terms of the laws. If you're in a property and you don't pay your rent, you could get somebody out of their apartment or house or whatever in Atlanta. If you follow the protocols and don't play and just go through the process, you can get them out in 30 days or less.
For sure.
Right?
100%.
Okay, but reason why a lot of times it takes longer to get a tenant out in most circumstances is that the landlord doesn't want to ruffle too many feathers because they're already having issues with the tenant either paying partial rent or not all of the rent, so they're afraid and the tenant says, don't worry, I don't have it right now, I'll have it for you next month. So they're praying and hoping that the person comes through, right? Am I right? Right? So what happened is you have to have a no-nonsense attitude about it because the tenants are going to try you. So I went through those motions where before you know it, it's 4 months later. The tenant still hasn't paid me and the tenant's been bullshitting me as to whatever the excuse is. And then now I start the legal process, and by the time the legal process happens, it's 6 months that the tenant didn't pay, right? And then they get out. Now what do I do now? I have my attorney on standby. I make it clear with the tenant and it's stated in their lease. Check this out. Rent is due on the 1st of every month. Of course, you got to give a grace period by law, but most tenants, what do? They use the grace period's end date as the date that they pay the rent every month, right? So then now, when that grace period extends, I make it clear to the tenant. The moment I notify my attorney to give you a notice to quit, there is no more conversation. When they get a notice to quit, my attorney charges me, let's just make it $1,000. There is no conversation. Talk with the attorney and you have to go to court to deal with it. Even if we address the issue and come up with a settlement, you're gonna repay me my attorney costs, which now costs you more money, right? You're gonna pay the back rent and we can move forward from that point. When you give a no-nonsense attitude but you're fair, you're not a scumbag but you're fair, they stop playing with you. It's when you being nice, you give 1 inch, they take a mile and so and next you know it's months later and these people are in your place and still haven't paid any rent. And I also wanna say, I keep hearing this rhetoric, don't invest in states that are not landlord friendly. So what's going on with those landlords that are in those states? They're not making no money?
Crazy.
That makes no sense. That makes no sense telling the people don't invest in land if they're not landlord friendly states because the tenants are difficult. So then you mean there's no tenants living there? Do you understand what I'm saying with the logic of it? So even if it isn't what you consider a landlord-friendly state, blue state, red state, there's a bag there too.
For sure.
Make the adjustments and deal with it accordingly. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
This is the first interview where I'm writing down questions mid-interview. Cause I'm like, man, this is literally my course. I ain't gonna lie.
Your questions are amazing.
For real?
Remember he was saying he didn't know I'm gonna ask. Yeah. Your questions are amazing. And here's why I love conversations. Remember we was talking before and I said that when I do interviews, people a lot of times we want to give a list of questions to box us in, right? I don't need that. Let's just have an organic conversation. He doesn't need that. I could talk for you, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't need that. Why? Because we do this for real in real life, bro.
Talk about whatever.
Yeah. We do this in real life. We invest in real estate.
So you saying like you can just freestyle it.
Whatever it is, whatever. And listen, anything that you're saying freestyling is backed up by real life experience.
Like like you could tell I'm trying to learn this by the questions I'm asking. Yes.
Absolutely. But this is why people like yourself is so important. Because you're speaking from the position of what the audience is thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I love having conversations with people like yourself or someone that's not well versed because you're in a position asking questions because you don't know. So you want to know. So let's talk about it. Through the conversation that we have, it enlightens you to ask more questions.
Yeah.
What usually happens, people get boxed, they want to stay in a corner, boxed in, and we could only ask these set of questions because you can't challenge that person. Why? Because the person ain't doing this in real life. I take real estate personal, bro. When it comes to real estate, me and you was outside talking for a good hour, right? Yeah. I was real calm and collective. Yeah, yo, bro. Yeah, and this is how we do whatever. Cool. When it comes to this shit, I take it personal, bro. This shit changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my family life. It's not only that it changed my life. Look at what this young brother's doing, man. I'm proud of you, bro. When I tell you I'm proud of you, bro, I'm proud of you. And this is what I'm doing it for. Because he don't have to go through what I went through.
And you know something crazy, though? It's something I'm also showing in this space is no matter what position you can get in, you still can learn.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I'm up myself.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day...
He's too nice, isn't he? You ain't up. You up. Come on, man. I'm just saying, bro. We ain't gonna give it up, but this dude is up. Trust me,
Man.
Hey, listen.
If we saying it, you know it.
What? Can I say something? No screenshots. No creative documentation. Nah, let's pull up the bank accounts, bro.
Real time.
So, press the button yourself, bro. I'll do that shit with him. I'll do it with him because, we do this for real, bro. But guess what? I picked up and learned so much from you. Ages ain't shit when it's coming to education.
And that's what I'm trying to show people with kicking it with OGs. I was doing an interview with Charleston. They was like, young man, why are you talking? I'm like, y'all don't even know who I am. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You telling me I should be quiet and not say anything. You don't even know the wisdom that I have that he has. He's 26, I'm 27. I'm learning from him. I'm
I
learning
want to
from
hear
you.
it, bro. I want to
Me
hear
too.
it because, yo, listen, man. I'm already, bro. I want to be a student, bro. Real shit. I want to be because there's things that what? Do I know I'm gonna bring value? Without a question. Without a question. But none of us know everything.
But see, some people will get in positions like I am, and I say this to tie it to a point and be like, oh, he doing that. Oh, he doing that. I don't want him to catch up to me. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm not gonna put him on my platform. Cause he's too nice. He's too nice with, oh, I dealt with it too. That's why I brought you on, because I know you're dealing with it. You get what I'm saying?
Because let me tell you, your favorite platform know that I should have been on there, but it's cool. I did this with no cosign.
That's why I brought you on here, brother, because I know the real.
Absolutely.
I can tell when somebody is speaking, they know what they talking about, because it's passionate.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue. You can freestyle. You can ask me anything about stocks.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, to the next question. Let's get back to the interview. We talked about shit. They gonna love that part, though. We talked about shit real quick.
That's real.
Can you get in real estate with just $1,000?
Yes.
How?
Use that $1,000 and educate yourself.
Facts. Facts.
Right?
And with $1,000, where would they go buy education from? Of course, you have a program, but like, if they had no program, you would say books,
Yes.
YouTube.
YouTube free, bro. Podcasts like this.
Yes. Take that $1,000. You could take that $1,000 and instead of splurging it, maybe don't work overtime that day because you upped $1,000 so you can sit down and do that dope webinar.
Correct.
Right? So yes, you can get invest. And listen, investing in real estate doesn't start because you bought the property. That's not when you start investing in real estate. You know that when it finally clicked in my mind, when I was like, when it finally clicked in my mind and I'm realizing like, because you hear concepts, but all you're doing is regurgitating the concept. You're in a room conversing with people and you want him to think that you know more than him. That's why you're using high-level wording, DTI, ROI. Don't ask me the acronym of none of that shit, bro. I don't know what the fuck that shit, I mean, I do know, but I don't know what none of that shit is. You know what I give a fuck about? I spent this amount for this, and this is what I made.
Dollars and cents.
That's what I be trying to tell people with the stock market. They be like, well, do you know the gamma or theta or this and that? And I'm like, I know how to get you some money.
That's it.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got time. I know it, but I'm not focused on that.
Yes.
I'm focused on how do I spend this and make this.
That's how I look at it too.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the real game you want to really know. And then the back end is cool, but some people, when they're learning, sometimes they focus too much on the back end.
That's right.
What makes money? If it don't make money, it don't what?
Don't make sense. It don't make
See,
sense.
bro, to piggyback on what you're saying, a lot of the times people use acronyms, education, degree, certification as a decoy for their true ignorance. You see what I'm saying? Like, think about it like this, right? I'm graduating my PhD this summer, right? And I did it really just because I'm like, okay, everybody that typically does this looks a certain way. But I don't know one professor that actually has more money than me.
Speak that shit, bro.
Who, bro? Like, if they did, they wouldn't be making $60K a year being a professor. There's none, really. I'm not gonna say none, but it's rare.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I went to Morehouse, one of the top, most prestigious black institutions for males in America. You know what they taught us how to be? The best corporate slave. The best. Nobody taught us how to be a business owner. So all of the acronyms that you need, these degrees, I got 2 master's degrees. I got 4 professional licenses. You know what? I realized through all of this, it don't have to look a certain way. It don't have to be a certain way, bro. What I know is dollars, that's cents.
it, man.
Everything else don't matter, bro. It don't matter.
And then run your own race. Because you doing things a bit different that's fitting you. I'm doing things a bit different. You doing a bit different. But guess what? We're all sitting at the same table.
And I'm open to build with other men because I think too, man, when we experience people who, I guess, gatekeep,
Yes.
it coldens our heart and be like, damn, should I do that too?
Yeah.
But then I always told myself, Why? Why should I do that? I'm gonna share my platform with men who deserve to be heard. You get what I'm saying?
That's why, that's why it's sad that people will think that there's an ulterior motive to why you're doing that. Or there's an ulterior motive to why, or you are doing what we're doing. Listen, we're business people too. We're not here for charity. My time is valuable.
Right.
All right? Okay, so I'm not here for charity, but I'm definitely here to give a hand. All right? And people think that, a lot of the times people think that because there's a cost to, let's say, a conversation with you or whatever the hell like that. Why in our community we always have to say, if you was trying to uplift a brother, man, why is it that you charging them? This place here that you in costs you at least a good $10,000-$15,000 a month.
Oh yeah. See, they forgetting that part. See,
Yeah.
even off camera, we still gonna put our money where our mouth is. That don't mean it come free because we black men. I had to pay this man 40 grand to go do something for me. You know what I'm saying? I told him, look, I got your flight and your hotel, come talk to me. You get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, just because we black don't mean that even the man behind the camera, I gotta pay him for his time. You get what I'm saying? So don't be thinking you're gonna get something for free just because we brothers.
And then you don't respect free anyways.
You know, take a
I'm
step.
talking to the crowd. You guys don't respect free anyways. You'll do a webinar and there's 1,200 people in my webinar, and then now you like, yo, I'm as transparent as possible. I tell my peoples, don't believe a word I tell you. Make me prove it. I want all the smoke. Make me prove it. Because I know I got the receipts for it. Then no matter how much you will show to show them what they could do, I'm not spending, no problem. I respect it. I'm not a salesman, bro. I'm not a salesman. I don't have a pitch. I don't have none of that. You know what I got? I got a road behind me. That's what I got for you, so.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get into more questions. The squatter situation. So I've been hearing that in Atlanta, and I don't know if it goes on in New York.
All over the country.
It's all over the country. Can y'all explain what's going on, and how do I rephrase? Can y'all explain what's going on with the squatter situation around the country, and why is it such an epidemic right now?
The squatter situation is essentially people that'll see an abandoned house or a property that's been vacant, even if it's not abandoned, it's been vacant, and they believe legally they have a right to take over the property. I even heard some people believe that, let's say the grass is high or different things of that nature, that they believe that if they cut the grass, maintain the aesthetics of the property, that they get a legal right or ownership of the property. What also is happening now is that the squatters, that they're managing to, as long as they're in the property for 30 days or more, then it becomes a civil matter of evicting the people out. So people just believe that they have a right to the property. It's their American right to just take over a property. That's basically what's been happening.
And somehow it is.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's
so
not.
they can't evict them.
100%. But here's the thing. What's been happening is, especially the ones that have been going viral, is that once, what I talk about this being your business, you have real estate, you have a business. Regardless if you have an LLC or it's under your name, which is why I hate when people approach me and they love to say, hello, my name is John Doe and I got an LLC. So what? You got an LLC. Or an S Corp. It don't mean anything. An LLC, so for people to understand, is just an entity that hovers over your business. So you better have business, your business in order. So what is happening is that these people are leaving the places vacant or they're not showing up and minding their business. So people taking over. And then now that they take over, the people are creating fake leases and other fake documentation. So by the time the police come, they start getting stuff mailed to the house so they can show that they got mail coming to the house. And then when the police shows up, the police is like, look, this person has proof that they've been here for 30 days. We can't do anything about it. It's a civil matter. Then you got to go through the whole court proceeding of getting these people out.
And then now during that court proceeding, that's taking a long time, and they're staying in your house even longer.
You gotta pay that mortgage if you got one.
And you gotta pay the utilities if they moved in with them being on. You gotta pay for the utilities too.
You can't turn it off.
And you can't like strong on like get the F out my.
Well, listen, you're legally you can't. Legally you can't. We from the hood, so there's things that can happen. But
Like I can't just be like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till they leave. When they come, as soon as they leave, I'm kicking down my door. You're out. You can't even.
well, not in that way.
In New York and went to jail.
Yeah, the lady
For her
went to
own
jail.
house, bro.
Yeah,
You know why? At that point, you're trespassing
that's right.
in your own house because you don't have legal possession of your property. So you got to understand the laws. Like bro say, you have to file an eviction. People with tenant rights have true rights. And when you actually don't have a written lease, you have a longer window than somebody with a written lease. It's better to have a written lease. But when they just squat in there, and the 30-day rule he's talking about is outward and inward expression of ownership.
My brother know what you're talking about,
So-
man.
When you have that, it's shown that, okay, if all of these neighbors seeing you walk in the front door for 30 days in and out, your furniture is in here, where's the owner? They have, at this point, neglected the property or abandoned the property.
Right.
But the owner could be in the military on deployment. But nobody else around y'all thought to call the police or call. So if they have been here comfortably, sounds like you got a problem that you got to handle. And that's where that eviction come in at. And that's why they're legally winning. Squatters can win because if you don't have a proof or reasoning of why this house has been left vacant and you did not notice, no alarm, no nothing, that's negligence on your end. They could get hurt in your house and sue you, even though they're trespassing, because you were negligent. So you have to really position yourself. I can't stress what he's saying. The knowledge and the positioning to know your rights, what you're getting into, what other people can do and can't do, so you can stop it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
What's up?
people let people get in they like I see a lot of investors in Atlanta. They let a homeless guy, right, for lack of terms, sleep in a property to protect it, quote unquote, while they're doing the renovation.
Yeah,
And then this homeless guy not don't want to leave. But this homeless guy not stupid. He knows what's going on. So now you just spent all this money fixing his house. You ready to sell it. You're like, all right, OG, it's time to go. He like, nah, pay me or else.
Cash for keys.
That's what they call it.
yeah,
You don't have no choice.
yeah.
Or you can go through the court process for these months. Good luck.
I think it's the most brilliant thing that could ever happen to poor people is to go squat in vacant houses. I'm being honest, like
Listen,
I know it's theft and everything. It was kind of brilliant.
yeah, but that's about to end real soon because now now the states like Florida just enacted, New York is talking really big about changing those laws for the squatters. So then now those professional bums, right? Now go find a place to live because it ain't.
So the police can escort you out. They're gonna have laws like that.
The way that they're positioning based off of the wording and stuff like that now, there's a way that especially Florida is leading the charge. You'll be able to get these people out immediately, not in a time frame, immediately.
Oh, so the professional bumming is just a time period.
Trend.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question. What are some common misconceptions about real estate?
That is passive. It's not true.
Get rich quick.
But about to say that get rich quick. Yep, that's not true. That it's easy. It's not true. That's not true. That it's not possible for you. That's not true. It's definitely possible for you. It's definitely possible. But those are some of the misconceptions. Definitely.
What mistakes should people avoid getting into real estate?
Okay, one of the mistakes that I would say is that you not understanding that everybody works for you. Everybody in the business works for you. Even if you're just a regular retail buyer, everybody works for you. And don't think that they're doing you a favor. So the realtor is working for you, the lender is working for you, contractors are working for you, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to understand your power, man. Everything moves with you. That's what people need to understand. Everything moves with you.
You got some points or questions you want to say, or what you would think people would want to learn about real estate, in your opinion? Like anything on your mind?
I think I get asked that a lot too, like how do I get into it or what's the best way to get into it? And I think what I took from today's conversation was like I had never really sat back and thought thoroughly through it. When people ask me all the time, I ain't gonna lie, I'll probably tell them the generic wholesaling is the easiest way because you don't gotta have a lot of money. I would tell them that, or I would say go to YouTube and research, but really like I think what he said is the best. What's the why? What's the end vision? Because then I could better position you. Because it could be like that man that wanted to just pay for his daughter tuition.
That's right.
He might not want to do this full time. So why would I tell him go research? It might not be the best bet. He might just need to find him a flip from a wholesaler and find a contract and get it done. And, you know what I'm saying? But I think, just to reiterate kind of the thought process of timing, is no perfect time. It's always a good time. You know what I'm saying? Calculated risk. I think the thought of having to find a market to go invest in, I don't agree with that. I think you have to look where you at first and figure it out, because if you can't manage your business, what he said, that gave me goosebumps, because it's like I have a property management company. I'm a real estate broker. Yeah. I am also a licensed contractor. Absolutely. So I deal with people that do what you're talking about, that are in New York or California. And I'm just an honest person, so I help them out. But a lot of the times, man, these people are getting ripped off because they think that they're going to come out and invest their savings. Like, I'm a doctor. I've been working 20 years. I'm ready to retire. I'm going to just go buy real estate in a different city. I live in California. I'm going to do it in Atlanta because it's cheap. It's not. You don't even know.
Listen, that's why, when I talk about contractors, the majority of the people have experienced what I've experienced with contractors. The majority of the people have been robbed by you shady contractors. So when I speak about contractors, people get upset about it, but then I ask the question, what was one of the worst experiences for you? And the contractor is always somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Right? And when I ask people, were you satisfied with your experience with your realtor? Most of the people raise their hand and say no. So when I say to people, I'm speaking for you, I am you, it's because that's what I experienced. That's what happened with me. So when I'm calling out contractors and the people, they with me about the contractors, is because most of these contractors are exactly what it says, contractors.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So the stigma that's put on them, don't be mad at me. You guys earned that shit. You earned that stigma that you put on because you walked in there and you finessed the people. Now I'm telling the people this is what you have to look out for so it doesn't happen to you. Don't be mad at me about that. If you're doing good business, there's nothing to talk about. Because with me, my goal is to pay you, whomever it is. If we're doing business together, my goal is to pay you and to pay you quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here trying to finesse nobody. But unfortunately, this is what this business has really turned into it's been forever, but the finesse game. I'm not into any of that.
So yeah, you caught my attention with this when you said wholesaling is the cheapest. Why is wholesaling the cheapest?
It's not that wholesaling is the cheapest, because subject to could be the cheapest.
But like what is wholesaling again, and how is it so cheap to get into?
I gotta touch this.
Okay.
I hate hearing cheap. Why is it in our community, our black and brown community, we're always being taught the cheapest way to do the most important investment of your life? You notice that, right? Real estate is gonna be the most important investment of the majority of Americans in this country, and I'm talking about my black and brown people, and we're always talking about the cheapest way to do it. So when they say cheapest, why you think I'm not a big promoter of the FHA loan or other types of loans, VA loans, or I don't want to mention because I don't want nobody thinking I'm throwing shots at them, because I'm not. What I'm trying to do is to make you understand the mindset that is presented to our people. So you're going to tell me you got that $50,000 or $100,000 car. Listen, I got people's I'm not throwing shots. I don't know anybody that's going to the car dealership today that is buying a car that's not spending at least $50,000 or more. Am I used as well? Am I right or wrong?
You're real.
So everybody, see, it's not just me saying it, right? So now, you spent $50,000, $60,000 to get that car. You know you can't afford that damn car, but you bought it anyways. Now it's time for you to buy that investment property that you could have spent that $50,000 to buy that investment property. Nah, I want to do FHA, bro, because I only have to come to the table with $15,000. I get to keep. You don't realize where you're being penalized. You don't realize the extra fees that you're paying on. You don't realize the added cost that you're doing because your attitude is, I want to buy the most important investment of my life the cheapest way possible. And it's always fed to our community. When I live in a predominantly Caucasian community, right? I listen to how these people talk for their children. I don't hear none of them. I don't hear none of them in the community I'm living in encouraging and pushing their kids to only go with FHA. I don't hear none of them promoting and pushing NACA.
I gotta write that down too. What is NACA?
That's just another. Good.
NACA is a nationally owned housing authority that funds deals. So they'll help you get a purchase of a property. They guarantee the lowest interest rate in the market, the lowest down payment, and they underwrite you through very strenuous requirements of income. They make you save, put you on a savings plan, what have you. But it takes like 8 to 12 months to purchase a home, right? They're utilizing pretty much the grant money of a bigger bank, like a Bank of America has to lend X amount of dollars to minorities. So then they're going to go to NACA and say, hey, we're going to give you this money, but we want you to make them jump, do backflips, hoops, cartwheels, and stand on their head first for 8 months. And then we'll give them the money as a grant or a low interest loan. But the point of those there are fees that come with these programs that you don't know. So yes, you might come with 3%, but the 3%, what were the closing costs? What were the loan origination, the processing, the lender admin fee, the doc fee, the appraisal fee, the appraisal processing fee? All of these things get added in. So yeah, it's 3%, but 3% of what?
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? So once it's all said and done, the numbers aren't just as simple as it is, but they package it in a way that says, oh, here's 3%, but we're also going to charge you this mortgage insurance premium every month, whereas you could have put 5% and had no MIP insurance. That's going to save you $2,000 a year on average, depending on the price. But nobody, you know, I can get goosebumps talking about it.
And now, there's always exceptions to the rule of anything we talk about. Will there be somebody that went through the different FHA, NACA, VA, XY?
I need y'all to explain all them loans. What's the FHA?
Federal Housing Authority is federally backed, where you could come to the table with as low as 3.5% to purchase your property. That's what that is. Then NACA, you don't have to come with 3.5%. I think it's less than that if I remember correctly. VA, you don't even have to come to the table with anything.
Nope, you get a VA.
You'll get a VA, right? So and then they have conventional. Conventional is 5% or higher. As long as you put, now VA, you're not gonna have PMI because the government's covering that. NACA, I don't remember if they have PMI. I'm pretty sure they don't have PMI. I'm pretty sure they don't. But anyone else outside of, if you're using FHA, you're gonna have PMI. PMI is private mortgage insurance, which is gonna add to yours, right? So now, so many people I have spoken to that have gone with these programs because we've been conditioned to focus on that, could have got a better deal, better terms, just spending an additional $1,500.
A couple dollars more.
Instead of going with 3.5%, they could have went with the 5%. The closing fees overall would have been cheaper. So that's the, and then now when you're using those type of loans and what we're talking about, more so than not, they have to be turnkey. So the type of properties that he and I talking about, for the most part, yes, there's gonna be an individual or two that can fall through the cracks or figure it out. But for the most part, you're not gonna be able to get these type of deals that we're gonna buy. You're probably in position to be able to, but since you laser focused on, I'm only gonna use this program because this is what they told me. I can buy me a 4-family property and I only have to put 3.5% or 5% down. I'm gonna go with this because I only have to put a little bit of money down. I can keep the rest of the money. You let so many great opportunities fly right by you. So that's why I'm not saying don't use them, but I'm not promoting it because most of you can do better than that.
Wow. Mind is blown.
These are the conversations, bro. Thank you. I know we ain't done yet. We can keep going.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to tell you why you're so important with what you're doing because these are the conversations that should have been happening. These are the type of conversations that should have been having thought-provoking, real conversations, not lifestyle marketing, not sitting on the stage bragging about the new Ferrari that you bought or the trip that you did to Jamaica and you spent $20,000 on your wife. That's not the conversation that we should be having. The conversation should be these type of conversations and then say, you know what the byproduct of this conversation happens? I took my wife to Jamaica and told her, whatever you want, baby, spend a bag on it. Yo, I saw that car that I wanted, and because of these conversations and the efforts that I put into it, look what I got because of that.
You know what's so crazy? That's why I created this show and why I created this network, because I said, I'm watching these people. I'm watching everybody teach. I'm sitting behind, I'm teaching, and I'm doing it the right way. Telling you how to get into the stock market, telling you the good, bad, and the ugly. And I'm watching my community being taught, and we still have like not enough progress. So I'm like, I don't think these questions are being asked and answered. You get what I'm trying to say?
No one wants to challenge the person. Everybody you gotta be
true,
buddy
that's
buddy.
true.
You gotta be buddy buddy. You gotta be buddy buddy because if you ask that question and things don't go right, that affiliate agreement might not work out for you. That's the shit that happens.
Yeah.
That's the shit. Listen, if we can't do good business together, I have no interest.
I gotta tie this back to my soldiers because I'm U.S. Army. My soldiers want to know, how can they benefit from the VA loan if they wanted to use it to possibly make some money in real estate?
By right. Bro, I have a Marine. He's on my page. He uses VA loan. No, did he use his VA loan? He did definitely use, but I showed him the game on how to get this money. I didn't do it for him. I showed him how to do it himself. As a Marine, he makes $52,000 a year risking his life to protect us. Thank you for your services too, by the way. On his first deal, only a couple of months ago, he made $54,000. He's on his second deal. It's on my page. You'll see him. He's on his second now. He's about to more than double his income going through this game, through this real estate business.
Using VA.
Well, he's using VA because VA, you're not using that for investment, quote unquote. VA is supposed to be your primary residence.
Oh, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, so now here's what I want your VA guys to be careful about. Listen to what I'm about to share with y'all. Your realtor's gonna approach you. Your lender's gonna approach you. Your lender's gonna tell you this is your primary residence. You're going to be living here, right? Wink, wink. Knowing you're not. Let's buy this property using your VA. You'll never move in here, but we're gonna keep the water bill in your name so that it appears that you are in compliant, and we're gonna move a tenant in here. Here's what happens to my people in the armed forces. Odds are more than not, you've overpaid for that property, right? Because you can't use a VA loan for the most part. We're not talking about individual circumstances. We're talking about more so than not, the norm. You have to buy a turnkey property.
Correct.
Right? So if you bought a turnkey property, that means you paid top dollar. If you pay top dollar, that means your cash flow is going to be far less than what he and I are going to be doing for the same type of property. So I got a person that's in my current class that bought 2 properties using his VA loan. Both of them, he's like this, choking. Initially, he was hyped up because, yeah, you know, I was staying in one part of the state. I bought one because the game is, as you move to different stations across the country, go buy another one.
So you can keep using the VA loan?
Yes, you can.
So I can buy a property, then get another VA loan for another property as a soldier?
But mind you, you're moving, odds are let's say you was in Virginia, now you moved to Texas. So now you got one property in Virginia, you got another property in Texas, and neither one of them are making real money. They think that they are until we have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. So how much you bought the property for, bro? First off, how much is the property worth? How much you bought it for? You paid too much. I'm telling you in seconds, you fucked up, bro. Oh, you don't believe me? Let me explain to you why. Math is math.
We just went through it when I was,
Math is math. What I love about math is a universal language of the world. Math works the same in China, works the same in India, works the same in America. So if you understand the math of this business, nobody can play with you. Realtors, mortgage lenders, etc. can't play with you because you're going to ask the right questions. So now I explained to him, well, you bought it for this amount. Based off of this amount, you didn't put a down payment, but your mortgage is this. Your mortgage is this. Your taxes is this. Your insurance is this. Your other miscellaneous is that. Your gross rental is this amount. By the time you finish paying that off, you're left with this amount. So you're making $50, $100 a month. But your debt, there is no equity. You have no equity. So where are you winning at? Oh, well, the realtor told me that next year, the property should be worth this. Oh, so now you're playing the timing the market game. That shit don't work. That shit don't work. So you seeing it constantly, bro. I'll show you the messages. Constantly the horrific circumstances that people are doing, utilizing these programs incorrectly. People only lead with the fantasy of what you can do with that shit. Let's talk about what's happening after you bought it. You don't never see these people come back. Why is it that you don't invite those same people, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, when you ring in the bell? That's the thing, right? When you buy a property, you ring the bell, right? How come you don't bring them back? Why you ain't bring them back and see if they still want to ring that bell or get that property back to you? Because I get a lot of those phone calls. Getting to the closing table is not a win. Stop taking it personal. I'm not trying to play you or make you feel a certain way. Let's be real about it. Getting to the closing table is not a win. Having an LLC is not a win. Going to get American Express credit cards is not a win. That's the foundation that you need to use to get you to a win. It's no different than now. Remember I know when I was growing up, right? Everybody didn't get a trophy on the basketball team just because you participated when I was growing up. If you was playing on the baseball team and your team was a failure as a fifth grader, the coach told you work harder. The way that we have it today in our society, we a bunch of weak people. Or at least you tried. At least you tried. No, that's not good enough. Because the risk is not worth it. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt that you put in on yourself. The risk is not worth it, my friend. You understand? But you're just excited that you got to the closing table. One more quick story I had with a young lady. Recently, she called me up, her and her husband. I get these calls, and when they get on the phone, I'm aggressive when I speak, but I'm soft-hearted. I tell them the truth. They start crying, both the husband and her. They start crying. What's the matter? What happened? Why y'all crying? They bought the property 4 months ago. They said they bought the property 4 months ago, and they had to get out of where they were at in the Bronx to move upstate because they had to get their kids out. I respect it. I understand. They both each making $100,000 each. So I said, cool. After you bought the property, you post up. Everybody's smiling, right? You never see anybody crying when they first walking into buying that property. Everybody's beautiful. Then not forget, everybody wants to do a housewarming so we can get new pots and pans. Everybody want to make those beautiful plans, right? I said, yo, the party's over. How do y'all feel now? Well, we struggling, man. We're talking 4 months later, bro. Bro, we're struggling, man. I said, yo, you should have had this conversation with me beforehand. I don't give you my opinion. Fuck my opinion. Who am I, God? Who am I, God? Y'all both intelligent brothers. They intelligent people. Explain it to them. Well, you're about to buy the house for this amount, you see? So after you buy the property for this amount, by the time you spend this is what's gonna happen. This is the price of what it is. You only have X amount in the bank. Since you're buying this property at a higher price point than the original cost of the taxes, your property cost on this mortgage is gonna go up another 20, 30%, and make it clear to them. If they do that, the mortgage lender know that a lot of people are gonna back out.
Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all believe that some people buy houses too fast and then they become what is called house poor? Meaning all they can do is afford to live in their house and drive their car and...
Bro, I think I see in our age range every day. Like I just said, we go to school, we all go to corporate America, get jobs. I see dudes going by condos and lofts just like this, going grab that new X5 off the lot, that Marrow, that Hellcat, and they can't do nothing else.
That's it.
You know why? Because people jump out once they get money, especially in the black and brown community. We go buy what we want, not what we need. We don't think about the future. We think about the now. I want to flex. I want to be cool. I can't wait for everybody to see my floor-to-ceiling glass windows. But then now you're stuck. You have to work to pay for this.
What are they again?
They're stuck. You are stuck.
Make sure you put that word across when you put a real stuck.
Like, you can't go nowhere. You gotta do it.
I've been saying it for years. Congratulations, you are now stuck.
Correct.
You know how many people are house rich, cash poor?
That's Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah. He said in the book, he was like, you're going to be house poor buying that house and you can't even have cash flow.
Rich. You're going to be house rich buying that house cash poor. And guess what? You still can't even get out of it. Can I explain why?
Oh, Lord, that's going to kill him, bro.
So, you bought the property and you overpaid for the property. You put the minimal down. Let's say you put even 20% down. Cool. So you bought the house for $500,000. You put 20% down, or you put the process remains the same. But you put $100,000 down on a property you overpaid for. You put $100,000 down, you financed $400,000. We're not counting all the other miscellaneous closing costs. We're just doing raw numbers. So now you're at $400,000. The circumstances happen just like I described with these young couple. 4 months in, they realized they fucked up. The realtor told them, don't worry, next year, the property value is gonna go up. The average value of a home in America goes up an average of 2 to 3% per year. What's been happening these last few years is artificial. This shit is not sustainable. So the realtor is gonna convince you that that property should go up, wanna say 20%?
That's what they say.
Okay, so let's make it 20%. Watch how you fucked up. So at 500,000, 20% of 500,000 is what?
20% 100,000.
20%, so that went up so it goes up 600,000. You can't even sell that shit. Why? Because if it went up to 600,000, you put $100,000 down. By the time you finish selling that property, paying your closing costs, transfer taxes, etc., and then paying your realtor out of it, you left with nothing. You'd be lucky if you recouped all of your $100,000 that you started out with. So where did you gain? You understand what I'm saying to you? Where'd you gain? So this is why when people are chasing the market, timing the market, you can't do that. Most people, what they're gonna do is buy real estate, go to their 9 to 5, which is nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. So could we please stop knocking brothers and sisters that go to work every day? Having a job is a good thing. Say again?
I don't get why they do that either. You got to start somewhere.
That's what I did.
I did.
I was there 5.5 years.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So can we please stop having this conversation and rushing? Every person that has interviews, it's always about leading with, when did you leave your job? Your life ain't gonna get easier when you leave your job. It's gonna get worse.
Way harder.
It's gonna get worse. So in the circumstances like that, what we described when we said about these people getting stuck, home is not going to go up 20% every year. It's going to be an average of 3 to 5%. When it is, you're not going to be able to do anything. You can't even sell that property because you're about to lose on that property. So now you got to deal with it. Real estate is not like stocks. Real estate is not like bonds. When you see something happening, even though stocks and bonds could drop quick, you could quickly press a button and minimize. If you watch, I know you good with that. You watch and you pay attention, you can press that button and then minimize your losses, right?
Right.
Real estate doesn't give you that. You fuck up, you bought right, you got to carry that weight to the other side. So your question that you have to answer for you, are you in a position to maintain to get to the other side?
That is how foreclosures happen.
Thank you very much. Now, watch how we got lit.
So living above their means. Oh, go ahead.
Of course. That's part of it. And I'm not knocking nobody. I did it too. I was the one driving the car where my mother, the car was $33,000. My mother gave me, I only had $30,000 to my name. My mother had to give me $3,000 so I can go get the car. So I could pull up and look like something. My bank account was zero by the time I bought the car, but I had me a brand new Lexus LS 430 with 20-inch wheels on it.
You were riding clean though.
I was riding clean. It felt good. It felt good.
It did.
I ain't gonna lie to you, it felt good, but then that euphoria went down real quick.
Yeah.
Yo, I kept that car for 14 years, bro.
There you go then. So it's still.
It wasn't a plan. This is while I was still trying to figure myself out, and I was like, yo, I can't. I kept that shit clean though.
But the thing is, if you would have fell on hard times after investing into that, you would have regretted that car.
Oh, absolutely. But I didn't. I would have preferred the look than what it really was.
So like people always say, we want to look rich.
That's right. I preferred the way it looked than what it really was.
All right, so I got a question because I don't even know how we skipped that.
I gotta say this, but keep that question. So for people that want to understand how me and Lee, I said it right, man. I apologize.
No, you good.
I'm horrible with names. How do we survive through the pandemic? So everything that you just described, that we just talked about, and not being over leveraged, et cetera, et cetera. I was already making money out the gate. Before the appreciation of the rentals, I was already making bank. So now we have tenants not paying rent. We have the government incentivizing and implying not to pay rent. So what happens? My rental properties, on average, 1/3 of the rentals in the unit, if it's 4 families, 3 families, 6 families, 1/3 covers all the expenses on my property. The other 2/3 is pure profit. So while the tenants that thought they were slick, not paying their rent, the government said I don't have to pay rent, I had to buy my time. Just like what we talked about, are you gonna be able to get to the other side? I was already still making, even though I would say more than over half or more of my tenants were not paying rent, and I was still net positive every month, bro. What ends up happening? I got to the other side. The same tenant that wasn't paying rent. Y'all know how y'all doing. They watch me too. Yo, check this out. Yo, you owe me X amount of bread. I need the money or you gotta go. They moved out. The same apartment that they were paying me X amount grew in value, in rental value, 40%. So if I was already making net, and I'm not talking $100 a month, if I'm already making $2,000, $3,000 a month with a property that was already at the price it was and it shot up 40%, that's pure profit added. The only way that I was able to do something like that is because of everything that he and I have been talking about, and you and I we all been talking about as a collective, the mindset, the approach, and everything. You sometimes the bear eats you, sometimes you eat the bear, right? So I tell people it's not if in real estate. It's not if, it's when. You are going to have a tenant not pay you rent. You are going to have a catastrophic damage or issue with your property. Not if, but when. So when that occurs, are you prepared for it?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So those conversations is what we need to be having with people. Those are the conversations that we need to be having so that they prepared, and there's plenty of room, even with these conversations, for us all to make money. For all of us to make money.
We about to make some money right after this, all three of us. But I got to get into this question because I don't even know how I skipped over this. Y'all gonna be like, how did we not talk about this yet? What am I gonna say next? We haven't talked about this yet.
What we were talking about earlier, like before.
Real estate, like all real estate. Okay, Section 8.
I think he was gonna say
Section 8.
All right, so I don't know how we skipped.
That's all he was talking about. He was like,
Yeah, I really need to ask that. What are the pros and cons to Section 8?
Okay, Section 8 is great, but they don't tell you the whole story, the people that promote Section 8.
And what is Section 8, real quick?
Section 8 is a government funding housing, subsidy housing for tenants, for rentals in the private sector. That's what it is, okay? So what basically it essentially happens is that Section 8, for the most part, subsidizes the rent of your property, depending on the particular tenant. But on average, they pay 70%. On average, they pay 70% of what the rent is, and the tenant who's working pays the other 30%. Of course, now there are situations where Section 8 will pay more. I even have in certain circumstances, because it could be a medical condition for a child, or even the tenant itself, where they will pay the entire amount. All right. But on average, they pay 70% of what the rent is. What I don't like that is being taught to people is that you get in your Section 8 tenant and that the tenant will pay their difference, but at least you're guaranteed that you're going to get a portion of that. Because what happens is you breed tenants that figure they're not going to pay the difference that they're supposed to pay because the landlord is satisfied that they're getting their 70% guaranteed. I don't tolerate that. I want my money. I want all of my money. Also with Section 8, I don't know across the country entirely, but what used to happen in New York and in Connecticut, Section 8 would incentivize by paying you 10 to 15% above market rates. Because Section 8 only works with the private sector. It only can work if the private sector is willing to house those tenants. If the private sector, us landlords said we're not messing with Section 8, there is no Section 8.
Correct.
Right? But now what they started doing, they've been paying below market rates because now people are like, F it. I'll take the below because at least it's guaranteed.
Right.
Section 8 money is not guaranteed. That's a myth. It's not guaranteed. You have to work for it. You have to provide suitable housing with certain safety criteria in place. What they don't tell you is that if the safety criteria in place is not there due to the negligence of the tenant, you don't get paid. If for whatever reason the tenant doesn't follow the directions of their social worker, you don't get paid as a landlord. But they don't talk about that though. Did I cover enough of that?
Man, I done went through it, bro. Like, what you saying is exactly right. Section 8 do pop-up inspections. So me, all of my, not all, I'd say 90% of my rentals in New Orleans are Section 8. And I went into it with the mindset it was guaranteed, it's sweet, da-da-da. But they got inspections that they do quarterly and annually. Like, I just recently had a unit that I renovated. Lady tore the house up, bro. Brand new house, hardwood floors, gone. She got dogs. I don't even allow dogs.
See?
Section 8 do a random inspection for her requalification for the program. They come in and send me a letter. I got a 24-hour emergency repair notice. It's a Friday. I got to go up here and fix hardwood floors, fix a faucet diverter, fix smoke detectors that you literally see she took it off and took the batteries out because she's smoking cigarettes inside. And until it's fixed, I don't get paid.
No one ever talks about that. It's, Section 8 is guaranteed, but no one ever talks about that. I had Section 8 fail. I have a new build property, brand new. So there's nothing in there in terms of rodents, roaches, or anything like that. I had Section 8 go to the property and failed it due to an infestation of roaches. I didn't bring the roaches. I gave you a brand new property. I didn't bring the roaches, but they failed it. and required me to have to pay for an exterminator, provide proof that I paid the exterminator before they would release the money.
And when a government shutdown happened, the money's slow. So when it's all the political wars and like the government shutting down, people on Section 8 don't get paid. Boy, you don't get paid. You're not above the law. The government shut down, the government shuts down.
Dang.
Now, of course, that's not very common.
That's right.
And then the quality of people that's renting your property matters.
Yes, regardless if they are Section 8 or not. Because I have some Section 8 tenants, they're amazing. They're some of my best tenants. And then I have tenants that were cash paying tenants and the worst, and vice versa.
So it really don't matter. This person, it's just about who they are.
The tenant matters.
Exactly.
Like you want to know, like I know some guys that have take Section 8 and say, I don't care who go up here, as long as I get paid.
That's right.
That's crazy to me because you still are responsible for that house.
Absolutely.
And if they don't pay, chances are, and not to say anything to anybody or say anything about anybody, but they're on Section 8, they typically don't have. That's how you qualify for Section 8. So if you tear my house up, what do you have to do?
Nothing. You have that bullshit security deposit, but the damage is normally blows right past the security deposit, and it's like you're just asked out of the money that you're gonna have to spend to fix it.
Pretty much.
Man, I got one last question. Because we've been going long enough. But man, like it's like I really wanted my audience and I wanted my people to really get game because the platforms where people can get game and the way it's delivered, how the questions are asked, all of that matters. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I always learn something. You don't see it being done right anywhere, do it yourself. So I took matters into my own hands. All I do is scratch my own itch. That's how I make money. I scratch my own ass. What do I have a problem with? Let me solve it. And then I go share the game after I solve it. You get what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, what are qualities you look for in a good tenant? Like because don't you guys like try to go scope them out and see what type of person they are and all of that? Like, so you would deny, have you ever denied somebody like, I don't rock with your energy?
Of course.
Oh, for real?
Of course.
What's the bad qualities and good qualities of good tenants
Listen,
that you look for by judging somebody, like occupation, everything?
if it's Section 8, can I show you the 7 questions that I ask? Can I show you?
Yeah.
Well, not show you, but I'll tell you the 7 questions that I ask, right? All right, so the 7 questions that I ask whenever somebody reaches out to me or anybody from my team, the first question I ask, what housing program are you on if you have one? I don't just rent to housing program people. So I ask them, what housing program are you on? So at least I'll be able to assess the next conversation I'm gonna have if they told me if they had one or not, right? Second question I ask is, how many bedrooms are you looking for? So then now that's gonna go tie into the third question is, how many adults and children? So if they tell me it's 2 adults and 5 kids, I'm not showing you a 2-bedroom apartment even if that's all you can afford. I'll direct you to a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom that I have, right? The fourth question I ask, which is very important, have you been evicted in the last 5 years? Just be honest with me because I'm doing a background check anyways to confirm or not. If you've been evicted in the last 5 years, I'm not entertaining you. I'm not entertaining you, right? Then number 5 is, what is the household income of all the adults? Because I have a criteria that if it's whatever, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, I normally would want at least 2.5 to 3 times the rent in monthly income coming in. So if they are less than that, I just stop the conversation, right? The 6th thing is I ask, are you able to pass a background check in terms of criminal background? Are you a sex offender or different things like that? Just be honest with me because it's going to come up in the background check, because if you are, I'm not entertaining. And last but not least, do you have any pets? So now if they tell me that they have pets, here's a little secret I'm going to give everybody. The trick that a lot of people are doing now is everybody's coming up with an ESA letter, emergency service animal, right? That's the new trick. So all they got to do is go to their doctor and claim they need an emotional support animal. And even if you don't allow animals in your property, you have to let them in, right? So what do I do? With these series of questions, you don't want anybody claiming that you're discriminating against them for any reason, whatever it may be. So by the questions that you ask, which you have a right to ask these questions. Once they fall outside of the scope of what you need, stop talking. So if a person has a dog, which you know you can't, because my insurance company says I can't have dogs. I can't have dogs. So once I ask that question and I ask them, do you have any pets? And they say, yes, they do. And oh, by the way, it's an ESA. I stop talking to them. Now you can't claim that I discriminated against you because you got a dog. You can't say that I said anything negatively about you having a dog. I just stop communicating with you and I move on to the next one.
Okay. And yeah, that's it. I think I'm mind blown. I'm gonna learn a lot off this interview myself. Now I understand why I need to podcast more, because now I learn as I'm asking questions, and it's been a minute since I've gotten this much game. To be honest with y'all.
Man, listen, I appreciate when I've been a fan of yours, if I could say that, and I've looked up to you in the space that you've been for a long time. I didn't even know he was following me until I'm like, wait a minute, the fuck? Right? And then when we tapped in, and even with this, when you reached out to me, I'm humbled by it. You know what I'm saying? I'm humbled by it that you was like, look, I'd love for you, because there's a whole mob of people that you could have potentially reached out to. And I'm humbled by the fact that you like, I'd love you to share your story. I'd love you to give some game and then allow me to be me. Because the one thing that I will not do is dim my light to make anybody comfortable. If I can't be me and be honest and truthful about my experiences, I'm not interested. But you said, well, just do you. Just do you, just be you, and just share your truth. And I appreciate that. And I think that we're gonna help out a lot of people and open up a lot of eyes to what's going on in this business. And then me and you tapped in already, and I'm sure we're gonna be doing something. I have no question about that, because meeting people that are that understands the fight that we go through to share the truth with people, it's refreshing to not be alone with it. So anything I could do for you in any way, I'm ready for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for it, and I just thank you. I really thank you.
You guys are welcome, man. Yeah, man. Like, it's because I was searching for that at one point in time. So remember I was saying you gotta be the hero that's what I'm becoming. I'm becoming the hero that I wanted. I was searching for a brotherhood of black men who can share game with me. And we can go and we can share game with others like disciples, right? And we could, I'm really interested in the overall growth of our people. And I thought that's what everybody thought. Whole time is, how do we get rich off these people? Yes, let's do both.
We could do both.
You get what I'm trying to say? Let's do both. But let's not try to draw lines too much with other brothers. You get what I'm trying to say? Absolutely. Like, you can come in here, but he cannot. You fly, but I don't like you because you too fly, and you gonna dim my light. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That a lot of that going on. Nah, you too fly, brother. I'm gonna put such and such. No, I put the flyest man on this camera. You get what I'm saying? I don't care. Now, I will say that, I'm gonna put the flyest man on that camera. I'm gonna put the one who gonna give the people the truth, not who looks the best. You get what I'm saying? Now, if I'm gonna come on my show. But it's a lot of people asking to get on this show, and I'm like, I want him. I want the guy who's gonna speak to the people. I don't care about how flashy you are. I don't care about your followers. I don't care what celebrity you sit next to, because that's what they think you care about. Oh, I know such and such. Oh, I got money. But you're not gonna give game. You get what I'm saying? And you're not going to share your resources with me or anyone, because you're selfish. You get what I'm saying? So I don't even want you around me or the people. And if I could create a show that gets so big to where now I'm in control of the narrative. And that's why I created this show, because I'm like, I have to do this. If not, who will?
And listen, and I love the way that you're bridging the gap too, though.
Yes.
Because you do have a gap of where respecting your elders.
Exactly. I'm trying to teach that too.
You don't understand how important that is, and because you will not have to suffer in manners that the ones that came before you did, especially when they're willing to share with you. You know, so that's beautiful the way you bridge it.
That's why, yeah, because I realized there was a disconnect between the old and the young. And I told Umar this and I told Charleston White this. I was like, it feels like to us, the older black men don't want us to succeed and don't want to let us in, even if we got it, because we're young and you're jealous of us because you still running too. At the same time we're running. Whereas the Asians, the whites, their elders are so ahead of them to where they're not threatened by pulling the young ones up. Because we don't really got it like that, we're threatened by pulling each other up. You get what I'm trying to say?
That makes total sense.
So I said, I gotta create a show where the elders understand that I'm not against y'all and you shouldn't be against me. Yes, I'm young and I'm rich, and I get it, it threatens you. But why can't but you got motion too. You get what I'm saying? I need to learn from you when you can learn from me. You get what I'm saying? There's no need to say, hey, you shouldn't, they want to dim your light if you young and fly. You get what I'm saying? And I'm going to the boardroom with the white men and they ain't dimming not a light. White men don't dim their young men light. They don't tell them to be humble. They don't tell them. They say, yeah, go get the money.
That's right.
Yeah, you better go get more. Blah, blah, blah. You know what, black? You know what they telling me?
You good, bro.
No, be humble. You need when you come in this room, how we were just saying, bro, this is the crazy thing, bro. You said, man, yeah, I made a M in a month, right? You told me, man, I made some 400,000 off this play. Not once did I say that man should be. I'm not even thinking humble. We think hater.
Yeah, it's fact.
You get what I'm trying to say?
That's a fact. Bro.
A man just said he made an M in a month, and the first thing you think is he need to be humble? Not how the fuck did you do it?
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? It should lighten that fire in you. Like, would you tell me? Like, I'm kind of like, the only thing I'm scared about is he gonna tell me or not? You get what I'm saying? Like, not, he just shitted on me. We got a big culture of he just shitted on me.
Why?
Bro.
It's bad.
It's deep rooted.
Yeah, it is.
It's so bad.
It is.
Bro, but the economic disparity between black and brown and everybody else is so big that we could all sit here and there'll still be more money out there.
Facts.
Even if me and him both run across the same deals, guess what? It's going to be more deals. We can't buy them all, bro.
That's why I've never been afraid of giving up the game, because you're not going to stop what I'm doing.
Everybody thinks that.
You're not going to stop what I'm doing, not at all.
And when you give that game, you better hustle. Don't have step, because you just told somebody the game. So that's the thing. Like, I tell people that too. I'll give you the stock market game because I'm in it too. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm even if you challenge me, it's a challenge, not a threat. I don't see threats, I see challenges.
And then that makes you step your game up.
Thank you.
Right? You're not comfortable anymore.
Yeah, like you me on my shit.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Cause I gave you the game, you surpassed me. Now if you surpass me and you can't help me up, that's on you. That's you like that. So I don't care if people surpass me. Okay, how did you do it? I gave you the game. You get what I'm saying? We don't see it that way.
Absolutely. You're right.
I think the environment is big too. Like me growing up in the 7th Ward of New Orleans, it's crabs in a barrel mentality.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life where I experienced true love and people really want to grow and build you was going to Morehouse, bro. That's why I love it so much, because it's all black men all doing things that are winning and actually willing to help you and teach you how to go. So when I say, they taught us how to be the best corporate man, that's because they're in corporate positions and they're coming back to the school saying, hey, do you want a job? I got you. You feel me? That's how I got my start. I ain't know nothing about being corporate. I didn't know nobody corporate. Corporate to me was people on the drugs. They selling drugs. They got nightclubs. They got cash businesses. That was to me what was like corporate. I didn't know about real live corporate American businesses and how people doing it. But I think it goes to our environments. Like we all come from areas you're not seeing suit and ties every day. Because I didn't, to be honest with you. I didn't even know how to tie.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I was damn near high school almost. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, It's that exposure. But in your environment, is if we in the street and I got the plug, I can't give you the plug because then what about me?
That's right.
Whereas when you get into a room where everybody's winning, like I keep saying at Morehouse, everybody was the best at wherever they was from and what they was doing. It's no competition between me and you. Let's both win because now we're all more powerful. I could pick up the phone and say, Aristotle, I'm trying to win in stocks. I could call you and say, yo, bro, I'm trying to come to New York, Connecticut to that market that I'm scared of.
That's right, yeah.
But you know it. Help me.
And vice versa, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So we gotta kill the jealousy, man. Like that shit down there bring a nigga in tears how jealous we are, bro. Like that shit crazy, bro. Like, man, like we ain't gonna get nowhere like that. You get what I'm saying?
We got such a long way to go.
Yeah, bro.
That's the sad part. We got such a long way to go.
We gotta kill that first.
How do you think we can do it?
Conversations, bro. Like this, like people, we gotta get to see. I already know I'm in this shit alone. Ain't nobody gonna promote my shit. I gotta hope it blows up. You get what I'm trying to say? Because they don't want some shit like this to blow up. Black men don't want no shit like this to blow up. That's what really is like, whoa, but I ignore it. You get what I'm saying? They see this shit. You get what I mean? But they know this shit progressive. They don't want to say, you get what I'm saying? Hey, Aristotle, you know how many influential people know who I am? And I reached out and they know this shit progressive. So they like, hell nah. But I'm like, but this shit is for the people. But you know how they see it? You're going to get richer, Aristotle. Yeah. You are a light. You already up. If we put a battery pack on you, you're going to outshine everybody. But I'm like, okay, if that's true, I can use my dollars and shit to help you. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, I get it. I'm this light who could shine. Cool, I go do it myself. But at the end of the day, when I do it myself, don't be mad when I shit on you.
I like what you said too, when.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? Because I am doing it. I'm going to shit on all of you. You get what I'm saying? And I'm going to bring up the ones who need to be brought up, which is the people. You get what I'm saying? At the bottom. That's why we keep creating this show. We got to uplift the bottom. We're only as strong as our weakest link, and we weak as fuck as black people. So if we don't focus on bringing these weak people up, then how the fuck we gonna progress? But the black bourgeoisie wants to just be bourgeoisie and just say fuck them.
So let me ask y'all this, right? Because y'all are two brothers that have a strong social following. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all touch over 1 million people each. Yeah. I'm a person that low key, you know what I'm saying? Right. I know my followers, most of them, like, because I don't have a lot like y'all. But I hear oftentimes, and not from y'all, not saying y'all say anything, but people like say that, you know, the online digital space is like a janky, shady industry.
Yes.
Especially with us as black people. Why? Like, why is it so janky? Why is it so...
Go ahead.
Well, the biggest reason I would say that what people have discovered, the people that are in the online space, they're great salesmen. They're great presenters, but they're not expert in the space that the majority of the people are coming to them for. So that's why you'll see they'll box themselves in, what we were talking about before, or they'll do strategic things like when they do a presentation, it'll be a pre-recorded presentation that appears to be a live presentation with fake, yeah, am I lying?
Man, they doing it.
With fake comments and things of that nature on the side, but it's all pre-recorded. But if you don't know any better, you think you're watching somebody's live training because they have to be in a box. Because if they go too far out the box,
they can't see their face. They don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think what it is too is it is a competition. So I always tell men who go into business, the moment you think it's not a competition, you've lost. Right? Right or wrong?
Absolutely.
Okay? So it's about, because they say comparison is the thief of joy, right? So he getting money, you getting money, I'm getting money, right? But now it's about who's getting the most.
Why?
And who do the people love the most? And because it's a competition, so now it becomes that. That's where the divide becomes. Everybody's trying to be big dog. You know what I'm trying to say? Everybody's competing for a big dog spot. And I never competed for big dog spot. I was competing every day against myself, trying to be better than I was yesterday. All I do is look at my content analytics. So somebody might think, man, he trying to outdo me. No, I kept outdoing myself. You know what I'm saying?
I'm my worst critic.
Now, granted, if my strategy worked better than yours, cool. But that doesn't mean that I'm trying to outdo or take from you. You get what I'm trying to say? And then here's another thing. People can have money and still be mad at us because somebody either got more or they're threatening theirs. And you'll be like, what is theirs? The big dog spot. You get what I'm trying to say? That's what it is. That's what everybody wants.
I want what's mine.
Yes, that's all I want.
If it happens to be the top dog in the room, then that's just what it is. I'll be humble about it, and every dog got his day, right? But if it's gonna be that it makes more sense to keep pushing you,
Right.
doesn't take anything away from me.
That's what I had to explain to people like, hey, bro, I got the platform. Let's do a show together. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I told them, you got the real estate knowledge. I already got the platform. I'm going to share it with you because I know you have this. And I know that you got it because I sat down and talked to you. So when it's time for real estate conversations, I got to bring y'all to. Man. You get what I'm saying?
I'm going to fuck him up, bro.
I know. Y'all know what it is. This kicking it with the OGs. I got my man Jay Lee. I got my man Welby.
This 197.
There we go. Make sure y'all follow them too. This is the best real estate podcast. And you know, it might be some ads coming after this. We're gonna have to add some.
Oh no, this is the best. Listen, this is gonna be viral. Watch. This is gonna be one of the best real estate podcast interviews ever.